All right. Welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you from whatever it is that we broadcast. Jesus Christ. Don't I have to say where we're from all the time? Nobody gives a okay, try not to swear too much this time. This is Mr. BDA with you, and as always, with me, my co-host, King Bucho. King, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Now listen, if you want to join us and welcome us to this new channel we created for the live streams, go to Google Hangouts, message us at the email address that's on the top of your screen, boxingdebate@hotmail.com. That's boxingdebate@hotmail.com. Send us your email and we will send you an invitation to this hangout. So thank you again for joining us, and boy oh boy, I don't know if people are still watching the fight, Bucho, the Gassiev-Dorticos fight, and I don't know, I mean, was it everything you expected?
Oh yeah, well, I thought Dorticos was gonna get KO'd before like the 8th round or something, but damn, that guy can take some fucking punches.
He can indeed, man. I was surprised at how many punches he took before he actually went down.
Yeah, and I'm also surprised, I mean, how well Gassiev took Dorticos shots.
How well he blocked them.
He blocked, yeah, he never got hurt, huh? He got hit a couple of times, but he took every single shot.
Mm-hmm.
He stood in front of Dorticos sometimes. Like he wasn't afraid of Dorticos at all.
No, huh?
Like at all, man. Nope.
All right. Let me go to the chat real quick and welcome everybody that's made it here. Foulpole Boxing, shout out to Foulpole, shout out to Nico Pass 6, Tim DeBell, Aiden Morrison, Boxing Fairytale, Boxing Battenberg, Pavel, Roddy Davis in the house as well. So thank you guys for joining us. Let's see what they're saying. They're saying Nico Pass says that was fucking awesome. Aiden says great fight. Tim DeBell agrees. So does Nico Pass. Nico Pass says Dorticos, hell of a chin. Gassiev, back foot, patience, great body work, uppercut, hooks. Yeah, he showed the whole package here, defensively and offensively. I mean, he didn't move the head that much, but he didn't really need to. Nico Pass 6 says Gassiev showed great patience and great high guard defense. Pavel says, yeah, beautiful fight. Nico Pass is impressed. So is Roddy Davis, who says, what a great fight, guys. Aiden says, I just love to see somebody KO through the ropes. There's nothing quite like it, because usually you're used to seeing guys hitting the canvas in between, in the middle of the ring or on the periphery, but out of the ropes, that's really quite something else. Boxing Battenberg says, very good final with Usyk. Foulpole says, I had a feeling Gassiev would play it slow the first 4 rounds and then turn it up. Yeah, he did. I was actually surprised. He actually won the first 3, in my opinion, and then the 4th one, Dorticos took it, but then after that, it was those shots from Gassiev, man, they broke. I mean, we're going to talk about that later. White Kidney. White Kidney. He says, what a fucking fight. Tim DeBell says, where's Lowplace? I'm pretty sure he's going to make it here.
I think Lowplace is doing a live stream right now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Let me guess.
Probably trying to explain himself, like what happened. Like Dorticos didn't do what I thought he was going to do.
Well, okay. While I'm reading the chat here, and then we'll get back to you and me talking about the fight. But while I'm doing that, check if he's streaming and see what he's saying. Because I'm just curious. I can't do it right now.
I don't care.
Well, I wasn't asking you. I was telling you. That's a direct order, soldier.
All right. I'll be right back.
All right. Thanks. Pavel says, I'm impressed with Gassiev's composure. Precise Puncher, shout out to Precise. We're going to have him on here in a bit to have him gloat, because let's do remember that Precise and Lowplace had a bet. And Precise picked Gassiev, and obviously Lowplace picked Dorticos. Eesh. But yeah, man, interesting fight. Interesting fight. And so we'll have Precise here in a couple of seconds or minutes. Reverse Lee points out that Aiden's comments, which says Dorticos left like B-Hub did. Almost. Shout out to Jesus Rodriguez, who says Murat looks a lot like Canelo on the back foot. A little bit, except less upper body movement. Tube says we had a Maidana Bronner moment at one point. Avery plays base. Shout out to Avery, says it was close up to round 5. Then it's hard to give Dorticos a round after that. Gassiev began to open up and Dorticos did not adjust at all. Catch Snell, give me my fight, says Lowplace is out at $20. Now it's more than $20. It's now he has to go into his channel and praise Precise Puncher. Praise Precise Puncher. That's a lot, 3-piece in there. Pop Tart Guns, shout out to Pop Tart, says Gassiev fought off the back foot first 5 and then finished the last 7 with pressure. I doubted his stamina before the fight, but he showed pretty good one, man. Boxing Fairy Tale says that was an example when reach advantage is a flaw in the middle and inside game. Tim DeBell had a 10 rounds to 2 until the stoppage. Gachinello giving my fight says Gassiev is like Lemieux but with boxing skills. That's a very good way of putting it. He's like Lemieux but with boxing skills. Indeed, he does have that type of power, man. Which just goes to show you how wily a guy like Levdev is. That he was able to go the whole 12 with Gassiev. Kyra Johnson, shout out to Kyra, says Usyk is still a clear favorite. Gassiev's power is not all that greater than Usyk. Usyk wins. I don't know if it's not all that greater than Usyk's. I do think it's greater, but we're gonna get into that later on. Kaiser Kobe says, I bet the odds change and they become closer. No, I disagree. He says, I think Gassiev's power is definitely better than Usyk, but not concussive. I will agree with Kaiser on this one. I think his power is bigger. And anyway, we'll keep reading the comments. Koran Bread is in there. Yeah, go ahead.
So Lowplace is making a video right now. He says he'll be joining us shortly. He has to do other stuff after, but he's gonna come. I think he addressed the bet in his video. I haven't seen it from the beginning, so I don't know.
I'll tell you, I'm not worried about him not honoring the terms of the bet. He is a man of honor, even though he does have sometimes extreme opinions, but he is a man of honor from what I've seen. Or heard, rather, as I've spoken with him. So if he wants to make it in, that's fine. If he doesn't, I'm pretty sure Precise would have made it in as well had he lost the bet. But anyway, it's just a little friendly bet that I hyped up because I don't have that much going on in my life. So hey, it is what it is. But Bucho, some people were saying in the chat that they were talking about comparisons between Usyk's power and Gassiev's power. Would you say that Gassiev's power is definitely the best at the division right now?
Yeah, I would say so. He just looks, and his snap. I was surprised at how fast he looked. I mean, because obviously we knew that Dorticos was going to be the faster guy, but Gassiev looked equally as fast as Dorticos, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think. He looked precise, sharp. With snap, it was beautiful, man. I like, when you hear those punches go like with power.
Yeah.
That sound, it's fucking gives me a hard on, man.
It's almost like when people say, when they watch basketball and they like that swish it makes when it goes in, that the ball goes in without touching the rim. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same.
One of those sounds, man.
It's one of those sounds that you just love to hear. If somebody could make a mixtape, 3 hours of just punches landing, I mean, that would be fantastic. I would pay good money to listen to that. But going back to the fight, let me tell you what impressed me. One of the things that impressed me was Gassiev's guard. We saw Usyk have a flawed guard last week. A lot of Brady's punches were getting through, and Gassiev showed Usyk, who was in the crowd tonight watching the fight, he showed him how a tight guard is really employed. Very few punches from Dorticos were getting in, and that's partly because Gassiev keeps his chin tucked in really well. And of course, he's got those huge fucking muscle arms, man, that are able. Yeah, go ahead.
Abel Sanchez type defense. It's that Abel Sanchez defense where like the chin is tucked in. Sometimes they take punches on the forehead, and the arms are really protecting the body.
But it's really interesting how most of Dorticos' right hands were bouncing off the guard. The thing that was really landing more for Dorticos, more than the right hand, was a jab. Because the overhand right, the straight right, the uppercut, it wasn't working. It was mostly the jab. And even then, you could tell that Gassiev was willing to be hit with that punch because he didn't really seem to mind taking it on the forehead. And speaking of Reverse Lee, who is in the chat, we talked about that, or he brought it up about 2-3 weeks ago about how when it's an old tactic that more people should use, which is trying to catch punches, especially straight punches, on the forehead because it's the hardest part of the head, instead of trying to parry everything or cushioning it with your broken pugilistic nose. But man, I wasn't expecting, like, Dorticos, you gotta give him credit because he tried, he really went for it. He never ran. He stood in front of Gassiev, which in hindsight might have been a bad idea. But I mean, were you surprised when all of a sudden he went down?
Not really, because I saw it coming though. But no, you're right. No, I was kind of shocked because there was multiple times where Dorticos got hit, and I went like, okay, this is the moment where he's gonna go down, and he didn't. And then
Hmm.
again, and he didn't. So I was like, okay. I was thinking like he's gonna actually survive the 12 rounds. But then when I
Actually,
saw like how he got hit and how he moves, like, okay, now yeah, it was bound to happen. It was
hmm,
bound to happen. He's fucking human.
exactly.
There's only so many punches you can take from fucking Gassiev. I
Hmm.
don't care who you are.
There's only so many punches you can take from Gassiev's hairy arms, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
And by the way, the other thing was that Gassiev, actually, now that I think about it, he did sort of stun Dorticus a little bit, I think in the 10th or 11th round, I believe. But other than that, I mean, like you said, his punches were really. Because let me tell
Oh,
you something. Dorticus, I
and I
watched.
said, okay, sorry. I said that he's gonna get knocked down when he throws that right fucking hand.
Hmm. Yeah, like
Yeah,
Precise said
the
that
one of the
too, I
knocks
think.
was that he throws a right hand. I think Gassiev throws a left hook.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what because Dorticus he's very lazy sometimes with the right hand. He pulls it back and he just leaves it there. It's like he's just
Hmm.
so that's when I was like a good hook is gonna fucking get him out of there.
He's got good hand speed, but like Precise Puncher said during the build up to the fight, very sloppy. Like you said, he jabs and then he drops that hand. And but going back to Gassiev's power, man. I mean, let me tell you, Dorticos has a good guard, but Gassiev has this power, man, that he will go through guards. I mean, even Levdev was able to. His guard seemed a little better than Dorticos. Maybe it's just because he's a little more stout and stronger. But you saw what happened against the Polish guy whose name I can't say. Was it
Uh-huh.
Wooly Dars, that guy? He couldn't stand up to Gassiev's punches. It's gonna
No,
take real tough guys and veterans, wily veterans, to make it 12 rounds against Gassiev. And even then, Lebdev made it the distance, but he got dropped. And Dordigos almost made it, but just it was too much at the end, man. Too many
you're gonna
shots.
need a guy with power to make to you need to make Gassiev respect you.
Hmm.
A bit like Lebedev kind of gave him he got a bit of respect out of Gassiev. So
Hmm.
Gassiev wasn't that crazy, but at the and it happened here at the beginning of the fight against Dorticos. Gassiev was showing a little bit of respect. He was moving,
Hmm.
but then he started to take over. Uh,
Yes.
but yeah, like I said, going back to you need to Gassiev needs to respect you, man. So you need a guy with power and precision. I mean, Usyk. I mean, I think that fight's gonna go 12 rounds. I think.
Well, that's the thing. We're
Unless they
gonna.
both, unless they both go fucking crazy and
No,
all
no,
out,
I don't think
which
so.
I don't think it's a final, man. You don't want to lose that.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I think they might play it safe, a little safer, maybe. That's the thing. We're gonna keep talking about that, but we're gonna bring in Precise Puncher if he wants to come in, because I'm assuming he wants to come in, and Victor Atkinson too. But just real quick, the other one little thing that I saw was you can only, like Bucho said, you can only take so many punches from a big puncher. Those uppercuts that were snapping Dortico's head back, and I was surprised at how many he was able to take. And I was at some point I said, okay, I think he's gonna make it 12 rounds because he hasn't been staggered yet by those punches. Then all of a sudden he goes down. Another little observation was he had his right elbow pinned real tight to his right side, and that was because he was getting hit with some left hook bombs to the body from Gassiev. And then I don't know if you guys noticed, but at some point Dorticus's right hand lost a lot of snap, but his left was still pretty strong. So I was thinking, what's going on here? And then I said, he was getting banged on that arm every time Gassiev threw left hooks to the body, and you could tell that really affected him. So you can tell, man, this freaking
Yeah.
Gassiev, man. Like who was it that said that right now? Was it Kachnelo or B Prop that said that he's like Lemieux but with boxing skills? It's a
That's a
good
good. Yeah,
comparison.
that's true. Yeah.
It's a good comparison. That's what Lemieux would be like if he had this type of skills. But anyway, listen. Without further ado, let's invite some people in here.
Yeah.
And oh shit, I gotta get the emails. But while I'll try to do this while I'm talking here. The other thing, Bucho, I mean, was it an
I'll
entertaining
invite them.
fight?
I'll invite them.
Oh, you
I
can
think
do
I
it.
can from here.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll keep yammering then. Another thing that impressed me about this whole fight was, because again, I was 50-50 on this one, and I know I said prior to, I mean, at the beginning of this year, that my New Year's resolution was to make predictions, because I didn't do that at all last year. And this time I didn't really know who to pick. I did make a prediction last night on the chat, live chat we did here on the new channel, but it's not on there, so I'm not gonna say what I said because I don't want to seem like a jackass. But I mean, great fight, man, and Gassiev has that type of power and the stamina too. I was worried about the stamina, but he did get a little tired, but he managed through it, so good for him. All right, I see we have Precise and Victor on the line. How are you guys?
What's good, yo?
Well, first of all, thanks for being here as always, guys. Let's get, before you start gloating, Precise, let's get Victor's thoughts on the fight. Victor,
before we get my thoughts on the fight, disrespect me, BDA. You disrespected me.
I did. When?
You said you did, man. You did. Not happy.
Go ahead. What did I say?
Talking about how you came up with the idea for the bet, man. You didn't come up with the idea.
Wait.
It's my brainchild.
When did I say I came up with it? Are
you
kidding?
Agree. It's your idea, man. It's like, you're the brains of the operation here.
Victor is the unofficial third member of BDA Boxing because he's been with us since the beginning. I think he was the first guy we ever had.
Yeah, I think so.
As a panelist. So, but anyway, yeah, go ahead, Victor. And I would never take away credit from your ideas. I mean, genius ideas. Yeah, I know. But anyway, yeah, let's get your thoughts on the fight before Precise goes on.
Okay, well, Gassiev has a very a conservative style. It's like is power heavy, obviously, but it's also conservative. It's not one of the things where he's going to get tired out very often. So that plays to his advantage in fights like this. I think it's going to help against Usyk, maybe. Usyk has really good stamina, so it might not even play too much effect there. But I don't see him as a guy that's going to gas out. He is really good at, like you said, just like banging your arms where you can't really. It takes away your own power. That happened to Dorticos. Like that right arm, after like the 6th round, that didn't even matter too much. It was a good fight, man. I was very happy for it.
Yeah, was it everything you hoped for? I mean, it wasn't a letdown?
Not a letdown at all. It went pretty much how I thought it was going to go. Or in the ideal situation, how I thought it was going to go. Maybe more of a war, but that's so rare these days, you know?
Well, I think the thing that really that put a stamp on it was that it ended with a knockout, which everybody loves, right? I mean, there's nothing more definitive in boxing than a knockout.
And then it happened in a way precise. Your microphone is doing some weird shit, bro. It sounds like you're doing Morse code.
Yeah.
Is it me, Rennie?
It is.
Gone now. I think
so.
No, it's not.
No, who is that?
That's Precise.
Yeah, it is Precise.
Oh,
yeah,
wow. It's getting louder. I'm gonna have to mute that for. Can I even mute somebody on this shit?
No.
I don't think you can do that.
I don't think it's...
All right, who's SX?
She's Morse code.
Sorry, SX. Who is this in the Hangout? Because
maybe they left now.
Bucho, who's SX? Oh, they just left.
Yeah.
Bucho, who was SX? Bucho. Oh boy, we're
Good
having
job,
some.
Bucho.
Yeah, Bucho.
Good
Bucho.
job.
Calling Bucho to the front desk, please. All right, whatever. But anyway, yeah. By the way, Victor, you said that you didn't like the stoppage.
Oh, no, I didn't. I didn't say that. No, what I was saying is that it happened in the way that you like to see, like get as much boxing rounds in as possible, and then see it stop, because that way you could like gauge how good both fighters actually are. That is really like ideal situation for me as a fan to really have a stoppage. You know, I don't like stoppage. I mean, I like them just because they're exciting, but I'd rather see a guy get some rounds in before a stoppage happens.
Right.
And, I know what you're talking about. When I was talking to you, I think they could have stopped that shit earlier, like the referee or the corner. Like after the second knockdown, it was very clear that shit was only going one goddamn way.
Yeah,
I would have pulled him out.
He was out on his feet, man. I mean, I think they should.
Yeah, I would have pulled his ass out.
But
no, it's good because then there would have been excuses or something, you know.
You think so?
Excuses from fucking whom? Like that shit.
I don't know. You never know, but no, you're right because the guy was out, man.
Shit.
All right. Well, listen. Let's go to. By the way, Lowplace is on the line. Lowplace. Every time he comes in, I'm gonna ask him how he is, and then I forget he doesn't like being asked how he is. So I'll just thank you for being here. We'll get to you in a minute, but first, of course, to the Victor go the spoils. Precise. I take it you're feeling pretty good right now.
I like to fight, if that's what you're asking.
Nah, I think you know what I'm asking.
First and foremost, I want to give major props to Dortico, man. He showed an incredible chin and toughness and resilience. I mean, people might run with this and say that, well, Gassiev doesn't hit all that hard. No. He
How could
broke.
anyone say that?
Well, because Dortico was taking his punches very well for a while, and I don't know. It might have looked like that to some people, but
Maybe
to
if
me
you
it looked like he was.
It looked like that.
he was getting progressively broken down, but really wasn't showing it, at least on his face, until he really just couldn't take the punches anymore, and his body basically broke down. Gassiev broke him down. Like those body shots he was digging into his midsection, there was no reaction from Dortico. And even though, I don't know, whatever the statistic was, like maybe he landed 30 body punches.
No. You did have a reaction from that. The reaction was Dorticos' activity going down. That was the reaction.
Yeah, well, if you let me finish what I have to say, then I'll get to that. But yeah, that's exactly what happened. You know what I mean? There wasn't an obvious reaction like a guy doubling over, because we've seen Gassiev hit Lebiedev to the body, Vodarchik hit to the body, and that's all she wrote, right? And maybe that overrated his power a little bit. Maybe his opponents weren't as tough as Dortico was, and so I just want to give the guy credit because he took a lot of body punches, even though it might not have been 80 or so of them. It only really takes one good body punch from Gassiev to put a world-class fighter down. And Dortico, even though, yes, they did break him down over time, he wasn't going down like those other guys, and he was taking them really well. And he took quite a few on the chin. And I was amazed that he was still there. You know what I mean? I expected him to fold. I expected him to get knocked out. Once he tasted that power, I expected him to go, and he proved me wrong, at least as far as that goes. So I have to give him props because, and even though he was feeling those shots and you could tell that they were slowing them down, he was pressing the action. He was coming forward, and he was in the fight till the very end, I thought. Well, not the very end, but maybe till like the 9th, 10th round. So I thought it was a very good fight, and I was impressed by both guys, but especially Dortico, because maybe I did underestimate him a little bit. But what he did in this fight is he first and foremost showed really good balance as opposed to what he's shown us before. He was on balance. He wasn't overcommitting like he tends to. Even though his defense wasn't as good as Gassiev, it was better than before. He came prepared. He had a good game plan. He adjusted. He fixed some of his flaws as best as he could. And even though it wasn't enough, I was impressed by his performance. And like Victor said, we got more information on both guys because they were very evenly matched, and it was a very good fight. And but going back to him being broken down, the reason why Gassiev was finally able to land good counter punches and get him out of there is because he did get broken down, and then his balance, he kind of regressed. His punches weren't as sharp, they weren't as quick and powerful, and then his balance wasn't quite there anymore, and Gassiev was able to capitalize. So I just wanted to say, Dortico, he surprised and impressed me, man. And obviously Gassiev did as well.
Well, he stepped up to the plate, I mean, it was a big fight against a dangerous puncher. And what surprised me also about Dorticos was that he was trying to back the puncher, Gassiev, up. I mean, I think many people expected that it was Gassiev who was going to try to come forward, but Dorticos never ran. He tried to bomb Gassiev out, it was a bad idea. But let me tell you something, Dorticos, I don't think he gets beaten decisively by anyone other than maybe Gassiev and maybe Usyk. But other than that, I see him giving everyone else very, very tough fights and maybe winning. Lowplace, your assessment of the fight, if you will.
One guy was himself, the same person he was the last time with the knockout, left hook, left uppercut, and the other guy didn't have an answer from that shit from the start. He did not try to adjust to it ever in the fight.
I don't know what's... Yeah.
Yeah, like I was shocked. Like Gassiev started out, with the lateral movement and being a less aggressive fighter, but it showed to me that Dorticos, you almost got the sense like, what? Okay, you just gonna right hand all night long, and that right there was when I was wary of like, yo, come on, man, what's going on? Where's your body work? It wasn't there. I don't feel like a breaking down happened to the body. I felt like, yo, his fucking chin broke. Like he did not react to Gassiev stepping in. He did not react to anything. Like, dude, the only time he started to react is after he's already hurt. Then you see him wobble and he moves his head. Then I'm like, bruh, I don't get it. I don't get what's going on there. The guy looked flat to me. It's something we discussed on here a couple weeks ago that I'm not saying this is what happened, but this can describe his ass. A guy that cheats by taking hydrocodone or whatever it was. He just was taking fucking punishment. It was astonishing because the guy, how do you look flat and still take punishment at the same time?
But wait a minute, you're saying Gassiev? You saw Gassiev taking too many shots? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm saying Dorticos looked flat and was. I don't recall the last time I could say a guy looked flat. He looked his style looks stubborn. It won't change anything. He's just accepting of whatever you do to him.
Well, he's always
and he can still take it. I felt that I've seen him. He's much more loose. He does react when you come forward. I've seen him smother. None of that happened tonight. And you didn't make Gassiev be anything other than I thought he had to be a better right hand in this fight. And he was around the guard, but I'm not saying he was straight, but around the guard he could. It wasn't the hugest shots because it was some guard there, but he got there, he scored. But the left hook, left uppercut, that stole the show. And you let it happen in a world-class fight. You got to make a guy adjust to what he was in his last. You just can't let him come in and be the same thing for 12 rounds when he just had first-round knockout success for that same thing. Dorticos is super flat. I don't know. I want to see, when I'm seeing the fight, I want to see what happens when you step in and a guy changes what he done the last time. I didn't get to see that fight. I step away. I got to congratulate Gassiev, but I look at Dorticos and I don't give him credit just for taking an ass whooping. Like that's overblown. Like I seen the guy take an ass whooping and everybody told him he got a draw a few years back and it pissed me off. So I'm not giving credit for having chin and taking an ass whooping. No, show some fucking skills and give me the fight that we was expecting. I mean, I thought Gassiev took this shit over from what? Maybe round 3 or 4, and I felt he was fighting a flat fighter from maybe round 1 at times.
Well, let me address the flat fighter thing. Dorticos has always fought very relaxed, very loose. That's his style. That's one of the reasons why he was able to take so many shots from Gassiev is because he's relaxed. I don't know if you're implying that he might have been on something, but that's my take on it. That he's very relaxed and that's what he fought. Now, as to whether he fought the wrong fight, what would you have liked to have seen from Dorticos?
I would have liked to see the man react. First and foremost, he can do body work from range. I would have liked to see that. You were not getting countered when you went to the body a few times earlier. That's not where you got hurt. So it's not the Golovkin Canelo situation where we're saying, well, Golovkin tried to go to body, he got countered, he didn't want to anymore. It's just the man refused to do body work. And secondly, don't just let this man throw double. You know what's coming, bro. You catch the left hand, you smother, or you catch the left hand and you fire quick as you can. You just kept taking the damn shots, and that's not world class. That was not a world class fight. You saw one guy putting on what he needed to do to be better, and he just schooled the dude.
Well, I will agree with you that's what he should have done, but it's easier said than done because I mean, while we're watching on TV, I don't know why, but maybe it's because of the 60 frames per second thing or whatever, but it seems slower than what's actually going inside the ring. Gassiev, just because he's a puncher.
Let me say, I'm not saying that we can do it. I'm saying other top fighter. If you're world class fighters, I can point out guys who do it.
Yeah, but those are the cream of the crop.
You got to get like them. You got to get like them if you want to be on that level. So that's all I'm saying. He looked good. He looked the part to me prior.
Okay, I get what you're saying, but if it were so... I get what you're saying, but if it were so easy to do, we'd see a million Terence Crawfords and Gennady Golovkins out there and Errol Spences. It's easy to see when these top guys do it, they make it look easy. That's what they always say, right? The best guys make it look easy. And Dorticos is a very good fighter. The fact that he's one of the top cruiserweights in the world means he's one of the top fighters, at least one of the top 100 fighters in the world. But Gassiev is top class, man. He's at worst. We're gonna find out if he's the second or first best middleweight in the world. But I mean, him and Usyk have proven so far that they're the best. So I mean, anybody else want to add something to what?
Can you say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Lowplace. What did you see from Gassiev that impressed you?
The fact that he did, look, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's what impressed me. You was able to be whatever you wanted to be. Don't try to be anything else. Like, he didn't have to do anything but do what he is. I felt he was, one of the best lead hands. I felt like he had it. The left hook uppercut, I knew that was there for him. It's quick, it's fat. That's all he had to do. That's what impressed me. Just don't change what's not broken.
Well, it sounds to me like you're acting a little bit like Teddy. It seems to me like you don't want to give Gassiev credit.
No, the credit is you don't change shit. You do. He got the win. I don't have to give him credit. He has 2 belts. There's no need. He took it from a real champion. The credit from me doesn't have to come. It's around his waist. I'm just telling you, he didn't have to change any damn thing, and that's what the credit is. Knowing when not to fix something that ain't broke. That's smart boxing.
Well, Gassiev did what he
actually
had to.
change things a whole lot. That's not how Gassiev usually boxes. You see him applying like that strange stalking pressure throughout every single fight. This one he was more on the back foot. Well, yeah, but you're saying it like he always does what he always does, and that's not true. He
stepped in with his left hook, and where he done damage is stepping in with the left hook.
Okay, but let's talk about how he was able to mitigate damage before any of this even happened. Like, he did.
I said that as well. He kept a high guard, and the guy just threw straight right hand. You don't fix what's broken. If you catch it the first time, you do not fix what's broken. I'm telling you, there's credit. There's credit in not fixing what's not broken.
You see, when you're phrasing it like that, it makes it sound like you're saying Gassiev does what he always did and not sticking to a game plan specifically for this fight.
Exactly.
And I think that's why a lot of people get upset with you when you say these things. It sounds like you're downplaying a guy's performance and you're just like trashing a fighter just because.
No, I think you're just reaching. I think you're reaching too much.
Well, this is how a lot of people perceive what you're saying.
I told you he came out on the back foot. He kept his hands high. And even when I broke my video down, I said he had a much stronger guard than Dorticos. At times, both guys were able to keep their hands high, but you saw Gassiev was physically strong enough to sometimes puncture the guard. Gassiev would have his. They got through sometime for Dorticos, but he kept his shit high. And when it was a time for him to be him, stepping in, he got to be him. And if you let him be him as a puncher, you're probably not gonna beat him. That's what I'm saying. If it's not fixed, don't broke it. Excuse me. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Precise. You want to add something to that?
Yeah, always.
All right, good.
I think both of you guys are right. Gassiev did do what he usually does. He takes his time. He studies you. But with the fighters that he's fought so far, he was so physically imposing, and he came with this rep that maybe affected them psychologically to a point where he was able to come forward and still take his time while applying pressure, so he was more comfortable with Dorticos, who to me looked like the bigger man, or at the very least just as big. Gassiev was still taking his time. However, the punching power, the reputation that Dortico came with, and the punching power that I'm sure he felt, even if it was through the gloves, made Gassiev want to go back. And I thought he was hunting for the counterpunch. And he showed us a little bit of countering, so he was. But again, Dortico wasn't getting out of balance. So he didn't give him that many opportunities. But I thought he was there studying him and looking to catch him with the counter and then turn the fight over, because I did not expect Gassiev to get backed up this much. But it wasn't that he was just getting backed up, but he also just was going backwards and circling, because he was in there with that fighter up until now. What's up?
Robot, you came out as a robot towards the end of that. Like the sound
broke up a bit.
Yeah. Your mic is really just fucking up this whole thing.
It's a connection, I think.
Yeah.
How's it now? Is it better?
It sounds all right
fine.
now.
Yeah, I thought he did what he generally does, but because he was in there, meaning he studied his opponent and he took his time, but because he was in there with, you have to say, the best opponent of his career to date, he wasn't allowed to have it all his own way. and he had to back up and look for opportunities, and that was part of the game plan, I think, going backwards and looking for
Yeah.
that counter. But no one's been able to even do that to him so far. He's always had it his way. He's always been pressing. So he did fight like he generally does, but at the same time, he also adjusted. So I think he did both. And as far as Dortico looking flat, no, this was the best Dortico we've seen. Again, his balance was good. He wasn't overcommitting to his shots. He looked good. I thought he looked better than I've ever seen him. And
His
it
jab
really
was more
took.
on point than it usually is too.
That is a
and
good
it
jab, but I think the balance thing is overrated when we got fighters like
Balance is not overrated.
No.
It's not the
Let me
most
tell you. Let me tell you.
Most important
Let me tell you
thing.
what I mean. Let me tell you, Javier Fortuna just basically won a title, not having the greatest bout. Like you can become untextbook, and the guy can say, "Yo, I'm not
It's easy to get a fucking title now. It's 4 fucking rounds.
Dog. Listen to what I'm saying. You can look at textbook opponents all day and say, yo, he's doing everything. Then you get that one guy that is leaning hard this way. He's throwing shots that you don't think he's capable of doing. And Dorticos sometimes does that. And it took away from who he was to get to this point. I like what he was earlier than what I've seen from him before. Then this shit
Dorticos
today.
is textbook. Dorticos is textbook. He's he's well schooled. He's textbook, but he does sometimes have bad balance. He's very gung ho and emotional, which he really wasn't in this fight. He really reined the emotionality in, and he stayed on balance. And he was not only was he textbook like he generally is, he also had good balance. Now, if you want to talk about someone like Fortuna, no, he doesn't have good balance. But guys like that who are slick and they fall off balance, they recover really quickly, and they like Rigondeaux, right? Like this is just who they are. They're not textbook fighters. They throw themselves off balance so that they could cover ground while not being susceptible to taking punches, and then they recover their balance and attack you again. I mean, every time you take a step forward, you're throwing yourself off balance. Okay. And then you have to catch yourself.
He's been capable of these things. And I'm just like, yo, you stand like anything's better than you standing stiff, letting Gassiev take a step in. And Gassiev's not the fastest feet in the world, but he does have a quick lead hand. So he's taking steps at any time he wants, and Dorticos does nothing. He doesn't say step back. Look, I saw this man. I felt like I saw this man change the range going backwards only once. Side to side, never. I feel like I never saw him step in. That can't be. That's just not what a world class fighter is supposed to do. Credit to Gassiev. Like I said, if it's fixed,
that's
no need
fine.
to go in there and
I think that's fine. But we did talk about this. I don't know if you were on the Hangout, but we talked about unrealistic expectations, and I said that you're expecting Dorticos to be somebody he's not. He doesn't do all those things that you say he does, and after he loses because he doesn't do those things, you're gonna criticize him for not doing what you wanted him to do. Didn't we? Yo, BDA Bucho, didn't we say all this?
Body work? Oh, you're gonna tell me he doesn't do body work? Like I'm saying, he does do body work. That's one thing you did not say.
Wait,
no,
he didn't go to the body.
Didn't you say East Europeans don't go to the body?
This guy had no look. Some don't, and
Wait,
he didn't.
No, hold on. I think for that part, although Lowplace did say Eastern Europeans, I think he really means like more Eastern Europeans with a big amateur background don't go to the body.
Okay,
like,
not Gassiev
that much. Yeah, because Gassiev doesn't have a big amateur background.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. But no, he went to the body like crazy. But okay, yeah.
He's always been doing that shit. Good guy. I like him.
Yeah, you're right.
But if you have a history of going to the body and then you step up against the best fighter of your career and all of a sudden you're not going to the body, I think we got to give credit to the other guy for something that he is doing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But that's what I need to ask. Did you see great counters when he did go to the body? Because I didn't. They weren't.
Yeah, but before the fight, I said that even though Dorticos is a slightly better counterpuncher, he's not a great counterpuncher himself. This was my whole thing. Mm-hmm. These guys, whoever comes forward is going to win the fight. And when Gassiev was getting backed up, it wasn't looking very good for him, was it? Because he's not a great counterpuncher. And when Dorticos was getting backed up, he got stopped. Because even though he's slightly better, he's not a great counterpuncher.
I won't say it wasn't
either one of them
good for him. I won't say it wasn't looking good for him because Dorticos just threw the fucking right hand over and over again. It was just like, yo, I felt like round one is like, okay, I give you the round because you're coming forward, but you're not really like it's nothing there. Your right hand on his.
That was another thing. That was one thing that I said before the fight, that Dorticos is predictable. He's robotic and he throws the 1-2 too often. Even though he does throw nice combinations, Once he gets stuck in that 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 robot mode, he just does that. But I noticed that before the fight. You were expecting something that he isn't. You had unrealistic expectations.
I was expecting a double left hook he can use. He can use it. He can go left to your body, left upstairs. I never got that. I was expecting him to throw punches I've seen him throwing like I'm expecting with any other fighter. He was flat. That's what it is. The guy was just flat. You can't tell an opponent, I'm gonna let you dictate what I throw. You're in the ring, you're there in front of him. You throw your punches, and he was throwing punches. He was just throwing the same damn one over and over. So if you can throw the same one over and over, you can throw any combination you really want to throw.
Well, I'll say this. I don't remember.
Good luck to the guy who wants to throw a double left hook against Gassiev. That's all I'm gonna say. Good luck to that guy.
Right.
I didn't see
him make him put anything. Hey, if you be right, if I saw Dorticos throw that and Gassiev said, "Ha, got you," then he never threw it again, I'd have an answer to why Dorticos didn't do this. I didn't see that. Nobody saw boom, boom, left hook to the body again, and then
a power
make you pay for
puncher isn't really something that you want to think trial and error. Like what you're describing as trial and error, that's not something that you can really do at this level against someone like Gassiev or even Dorticos, because that trial and error will get you slept early. You have to just give up on things, or at the very least, not even want to try things that are like high risk like that.
Exactly.
You try to mitigate that shit.
I can't say going to the body is high risk, man. I can't.
Well, we're not really talking about just going to the body. We're talking about like you're like double left hook against a guy like Dorticos, or for a guy like Dorticos who doesn't have like a good guard, or rather who doesn't protect himself at all when he's doing shit like that. That's not the move there. That's certainly not the move.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, Lowplace, yeah, you made the wrong pick here. So, yeah. I mean, what was Victor, can you remind us exactly how this is going to work out? Like, how is this going to work? Who's going to have to go on whose channel, or what's the...
I made my video already. I just made the video and telling the fans I lost the bet.
But it's not telling the fans you lost the bet. It's more like telling the fans that you, like... praise precise percenters. That's what the bet was.
Praise.
I don't think that was the bet.
That was the term.
That's all on video.
We don't make post bets.
Can I say something? Look. Hey, look.
Yeah.
I hate making people do things. I don't do that. It's just not my style to force people to do things they don't want to do. So
I gave him his
I'm gonna leave it in his. Hold on. I'm gonna leave it in his hands. If he wants to do that, I'm okay with that. But if he doesn't, you'll never hear a peep from me about it. I won't bitch about it. I won't complain. If he doesn't want to do that, I am perfectly okay with that. But if he does, that's cool too, and that's fine.
Well, that's very gracious of you.
I'm gonna give you a screenshot, Victor. When you say he doesn't have a good enough guard to throw double left hooks, I'm going to show you this. And I don't dispute video. I'm just going to show you his technique when he's throwing. This is him about to throw a left hook. I'm gonna send you this. I don't know if I can screen share here on here, can I? I can't do that.
I doubt that, but you can show me on Twitter or some shit like that.
Yeah, okay, all right. I put because I don't know everybody's Twitter handle, so I do expect him to say trust his technique like I expected with any other fighter. And the man didn't do that, man. The man did. Yo, he's tucked. I'm looking at the screenshot right now. The man is tucked away, right hook up, throwing the left hook. He's going to the body, then he's going to bring it up top.
Mm-hmm.
Dog, if that's what boxing is, he just was not confident. He was not flat, and I didn't think Gassiev beat the confidence out of him with counters. This dude just was right hand happy. And it was the worst Dorticos I ever saw, and Gassiev knocked his ass out. And when you come to the ring as the worst you are, you deserve to get knocked out. So I mean,
this was not the worst he was. This is arguably the best he's ever been. What the fuck do you mean, son?
Horrible, bro. That was horrible.
What the fuck was him against Kutriyashov then? Because he did some extra bad shit then.
Exactly.
Taking punishment is being rewarded. Like people, you come on and you say the first thing I like is he took punishment. What the fuck? Like he took punishment because he did nothing to avoid the punishment.
He did what he does all the time, which is try to catch shots with his guard, man. He doesn't move his head all that much, and he was taking little steps back at some point to avoid the right hands to the body and the overhand rights upstairs. But then Gassiev started to mix it all up: overhand rights, left hooks to the body, left uppercuts, lead left uppercuts. I mean, it was just a beautiful display of different array of punches, man. And it's a shame that you don't want to give Gassiev credit. But listen, people in the chat room aren't surprised.
I've said it. The credit. The credit is dog. If the man's flat, you whoop his ass. However
There you go.
That's the
See,
credit.
you're
Now
doing.
you go on to
You're
more
giving a
credit.
backhanded
Yes, you do.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm contemplating putting the man on the pound for pound list, and you telling me I'm not giving him credit.
Well, you're
Dog,
saying
I
it's
know, dog. I'm telling you.
Didn't say that. No one said anything like that.
No, I just said this I just did a video before I came here.
How was I supposed to say the video? You just uploaded it.
Well, I'm telling you, like you saying, I'm not giving him credit, but what I'm contemplating the man on my pound for pound list and where I want to put him.
Okay.
I'm giving, but you don't have
to.
he does not. My point is, I'm criticizing Dorticos. He does not have to do anything except win the damn fight. Gassiev, I don't give a damn if he went there and blew on him. If Dorticos fail, that's the fucking Dorticos' fault. And tonight, I feel like he just went in there and he done range at all. I thought he stood there and let the man step in and got his guard beat up. And eventually, his guard got beat up and his head got beat up.
Because I know you fucking guys should crawl over your dying.
That's exactly what he did against Kalenga. That's exactly what he did.
Exactly.
He lets guys tee off on him. That's a major flaw he has in his game. He allows you to tee off on him. Gassiev steps out of range.
Yep. I saw him doing what he does almost all the time, except he tried to put more pressure to try to back Gassiev up. All right, listen, guys. Now that we have a bit of a lull here, a bit of a break, I want to welcome Corruption in Boxing to the chat. Corruption, how are you, man?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there. Yourself?
Oh, I'm very well. Thank you for being here, first of all. And by the way, guys, don't let me forget to plug your YouTube channels, because Lowplace does have a YouTube channel. So does Precise Puncher. Victor Atkinson, along with SplitD, have a show on what's it called? Blog Talk Radio. And the title of
we use the Loaded Gloves Boxing Podcast.
There you go. And I'm gonna be putting links to those shows right there, and of course Corruption in Boxing too. So Corruption, curious to get your thoughts on the fight we just saw.
The fight was synonymous with the P's from Murat Gassiev. He showed precision, poise, punch placement, power. A marvelous performance. And Lowplace, I just hear nothing but excuses from him.
Oh,
there were very few channels that had the insight to give in-depth breakdowns and outright predictions. Precise was one of them. Shout out to him, and myself as well. I gave a proper in-depth breakdown. I went through all of the limitations of Yunier Dorticos. I alluded to his power being perhaps superficial. Giving a proper critique, and I'm very happy I placed a large bet as well, just to prove that that word is bond. But yet, you still get all of these parasites that like to go channel to channel. They just make insidious little comments, but they come and say, "What are you talking about? You know nothing about boxing, etc." But they don't have their own channels. But so who's standing tall now, you little motherfuckers?
Oh, are you talking to people that you have interacted with on the internet?
Yeah, BD, you know what it's like. It's the same old thing.
Well, like I've told. Yeah, go ahead, Victor. Go ahead.
I just want to say your lexicon is actually very interesting. There's a lot of alliteration there, and then like the motherfucker, and then like word is bond. That's interesting. It's very interesting.
And let me compliment you, Corruption, on your accent. You sound like Longshanks from Braveheart.
Trouble with Scotland is that it's full of Scots.
So you sound like you should be on stage on a play for Shakespeare or something. But listen, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. It's when you put yourself out there, especially when you make picks, the way Lowplace, Precise Puncher, and yourself do. You gotta face the heat if you get it wrong, but at the same time, you get validated if you pick it right. Nobody gets it right all the time. Otherwise, you'd be in Vegas making millions. But good for you for making the pick. And I don't know what you guys think, but should we move on now to the final and talk about Usyk versus Gassiev?
If you want, it's up to you. It's your show.
Go ahead.
If you don't mind, I'll just give a little synopsis of Dorticos. The fundamental error he made in this fight was that he had to keep the fight at long range or at mid range, and he failed to do so because his punches are just a little bit too agricultural. They're sort of rudimentary. There's no there's no deep sort of methodology, no method to his madness. He'll land clubbing shots, but what he did show me in this fight, he did counter punch a little bit, but he only counter punched with the jab. Now, the jab is generally the first punch you learn, so once your opponent has finished his combination, you're going to go back to the jab. But what Murat, the other dimension he showed in this game was that he was being backed up, and that is not that is not synonymous with how he fights. He's generally the aggressor, the stalker, and he counter punches on the front foot. But it showed the other, that shows the sort of the dimensions to his game. The fact that he's an improving fighter, and you've got to love his discipline, his humbleness as well. He never badmouths his opponent. He never, he's highly complimentary. He must be a dream to sort of work with, and I admire his demeanor, his personality, his character, and I think he fought a magnificent fight. A lot of patience, a lot of counter punching ability. You notice, he was hitting a lot of punches with sort of bent arms because he was getting deep inside the pocket, and Dorticos, he had no answers. He didn't have the ability to fight on the deep inside the pocket, whereas Murat Gassiev just kept varying the angles, perpetual motion with his hand and his gloves, knowing he's just distracting him, little touch shots in between his power shots, just so much more variation to his game. He systematically broke him down and knocked him out. That's the perfect sort of order of how to do it. So great performance.
Yeah, well said, man. That was a really a good breakdown and a good synopsis that you just presented of the fight. Gassiev is a true professional, and I was a little dubious of just how good he was, but I mean, this fight really showed it, because I mean, I was split on this one. I was 50-50, but Gassiev really did show that he was the better man. Now, real quick, you mentioned something about how you praised Gassiev's ability to stay humble and not talk and let the fist do the talking for him, in other words. But do you also like it sometimes when a guy is more vociferous or more vocal, like Philo Greco's antics against Amir Khan? I mean, was that good, or in your opinion, did he go too far with what he said to Khan?
The problem is that, look, my father, told me from a very young age, keep your words sweet, as one day you may have to eat them. That was his lesson he purveyed to me. Hence, that is what I exemplify in life. Now, a large part of it, self-promotion, bravado. The promoters, they engineer these incidents, to add to the spectacle, especially with these promoters who are going up against rival promoters. So, they're exacerbating all of this. They may condemn it to a certain extent, but look at Derek Chisora throwing a table at Eddie Hearn. What did Eddie Hearn do? What did Eddie Hearn do subsequently? He signed the man. Look at Amir Khan. Eddie Hearn has been condemning Amir Khan for so long for those negotiations with Kell Brook. What did he say? He said, I would never do business with Amir Khan. Yup, this and yup, that. And what happens? He signs him. So, these promoters talk a load of bullshit. Fighters talk a load of bullshit. You can sort of decipher who the real individuals within the sport. And personally, I prefer the guys who keep humble. I prefer the guys who, compliment their opponent. They've got nothing to be embarrassed about. If they lose, if they lose, then it's not as if they made a bold prediction. Like Adrian Broner, like I'm going to knock out my opponent in 6 rounds, and he gets completely outboxed.
Precise, are you tearing up a box or something?
Sorry.
No problem.
Should have muted myself.
Yeah, try to do that if you're going to be making noise, please. Because sometimes we don't realize, but we make more noise sometimes than we realize when we're close to the microphones. Okay, people are saying, Corruption, that you sound English, but with a bit of Dutch. But listen, whatever your accent is, I agree with you, what you're saying about how in life...
I am from the Netherlands, but I'm sort of raised around the world, so yeah.
Okay. my take on this, and then I'll let other people talk. But my take on this is that in life it's always better if you conduct yourself with you live by the adage of silence is golden. In other words, the less you say, the better. In boxing, however, sometimes the bigger mouths earn the most money. So I mean, I understand why people do it, especially after Mayweather and McGregor in MMA. They make a lot of money using their mouth, but also backing it up with their talent. So it's to be expected that people are going to play up that bad guy angle. I mean, I'd like to get other people in on this. I mean, whoever wants to jump in, what do you think about big talkers? Am I good or bad in boxing?
Well, if I may, look, you can say whatever the hell you want as long as you back it up, okay? If you don't have a history of backing shit up, be careful what you say. And going back to Dorticos saying he's going to knock his opponent out and all that, how do you think he feels now after saying all that and actually get knocked out himself? Maybe if he kept it more respectful, maybe he would have been more of a realist and given Gassiev more respect, and maybe, I don't think it would have changed the outcome of the fight. But, I don't know. I said this in the build-up to the fight. Gassiev respects his opponent. He doesn't talk trash because he also respects his opponent. He sees the danger. He's more aware of what could happen in the fight, and that allows him to study the opponent better, give him the credit that he deserves, and it makes him better prepared for the fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he respects the opponent. A lot of the guys that talk trash, it's a facade, so you don't really know, but I think most of them are just ignorant and they're overconfident, and they're trying to hype themselves, or maybe they're trying to hype themselves up because they're not very confident at all. But and this is the deal with a lot of these Eastern European fighters. They don't talk a whole bunch of shit because they know.
It's not.
Especially in these bigger weight divisions. One punch and all that trash talk is for nothing. You know what I mean? So.
It's not really that they're like thinking that deep into it where they just know anything. That's a cultural thing. You don't really do that in Eastern European countries to begin with. So that's why you see these Europeans don't do that. That's not how they're raised. It's not socially a type of thing they do. When you go to like America or the UK, we do that. So you see that more from us, but that's just a cultural thing.
Yeah, but
I agree, Victor.
There are good reasons for that too. There are very good reasons for why it is a cultural thing, because they've been through. Europe has been through major wars, and they have a different outlook on life, and they're just different. But it's because of experience that Americans tend to be very braggadocious because no one has really challenged them. You know what I mean?
When you go into
so they're not ready for a challenge.
Really an assumption. You have to like go in deep into, well, I think it's because but you can't prove that either way. There's no way to prove this. So it has to go like, okay, this is a cultural thing, but you could have a theory on why it is that way, but it's not anything you can prove either way. So it's like,
you should take it up with my grandfather. You should take it up with him. I'm just telling you what my people have told me, and you can have your own opinion on that, but my opinion, sadly for you, is more educated. Is more educated.
Educated. Because your grandfather told you that? Is that we're going by your grandfather, the fucking dictator of all these situations? That's not how that works either, bro.
Well, he was in World War II, and he's experienced a lot. And
it all has nothing to do with what we're saying. It's just
Where were you raised?
In America, but it doesn't matter.
Okay, well then, my opinion. Well then, listen.
Oh my fucking god, nigga! You just said anecdotal evidence that has nothing to do with that.
Okay, listen, let me just tell you one thing. Let me just tell you one thing. You were raised in America, okay? So you tell me about Americans, I'm going to tell you about Eastern Europeans.
Okay.
I think my perspective is...
And read this anecdotal evidence, what you just said, bro. It doesn't matter. You can prove this, or rather, you can't prove this. It's not something that you can actually prove either way. You can't. It's impossible to prove what you're saying.
I've lived it.
Dude, I've lived it. If you live this,
it doesn't matter that I've lived it, that I know. Okay,
dude, you can't go back and say like, well, they think this because it doesn't work that way. That's not how anything.
Let me tell you something.
Well, it's a theory. I mean,
let me tell you something. No. Let me tell you something.
You can have a good.
Let me tell you something.
But
hold on. One at a time, please. One at a time.
Hold on.
Let me tell you something. You want to say theory? You want to say whatever you want to say? That's fine. But there are theories that you just pull out of your ass, and then there are educated theories. And my theory has always been that, for example, you know what? That's fine. You're right. I'm wrong. I'm just going to drop it, okay? Take it take it.
Yeah, because listen, this whole thing, I mean, it's like Victor said, really, I mean, you can value the word of your grandfather, who I would assume is a wiser man than any of us. You know, he's lived a long life and everything. If he's still alive, I don't know, but you know, you can take that from him, but it doesn't, like Victor is saying, it doesn't definitely prove it. Now, I will agree that there are cultural differences, though, and some races or ethnicities, whatever you might want to call them, are more sanguine than other. You know, they got that hot blood in them, and they're prone to be more vocal than others. Now, is it true of all Eastern Europeans, and is it true of all, let's say, Cubans or Americans? I don't know, but it's let's keep it to boxing for now, because it's really, I don't think anybody's gonna convince anybody else in this debate. Who else wants to say something about the fight, either about Usyk or about Gassiev and the Dorticos fight?
You know, honestly, I think Dorticos would do better than Gassiev would against Usyk.
Styles make fights, is what you're saying?
I just have a feeling about this. The way they fight, I'm thinking that Gassiev is going to kind of look how he did in like the first 2 rounds of the Isaiah Thomas fight, which is like eating left hands from Usyk in this case, and he's not really going to be able to do that much because of the movement. And Dorticos, I don't think would have that same problem. I mean, even when we look at this fight, he had a lot of problems dealing with the jab of Dorticos. I don't see him doing that well against Usyk. Maybe in a couple of years when he gets more experience, because he's still just 24, hasn't really been boxing for that long. But for right now, I think Usyk just tools him.
All right. Anybody else want to add something to that?
I vehemently disagree.
All right.
You think Dorticos would do better?
I think Murat Gassiev will be happier against Usyk because it will allow him to actually fight on the front foot. He'll be the one who will be stalking Usyk down. Usyk will go back to lateral movement and boxing, but in the last fight, you know, that wasn't evident, and I was a bit disappointed with him. Under his new trainers, you know, Sergei Vatnenko and Ross Abner, you know, he's losing that ability to really punch on the fly. You know, I was ringside for 2 of Usyk's fight in the amateurs, you know, way before, you know, 99% of these YouTubers even knew of his fucking existence. You know, I watched what he was like very, very young, 2010, 2009 in Chicago, you know, in the Baku World Championships when he was there. And back then, under even James Ali Bashir would actually teach that lateral movement, punching on the fly. Whereas now, because his promoters and his trainers are so fixated with him becoming a knockout, a fighter, hence, you know, he can make a splash in the heavyweight division. I think he's compromising some of those facets that got him to where he was. And, you know, he exemplified the sweet science perfectly before. Hit and not be hit and be in the position to hit again. You know, that was his style. He'd circle around the target. But he is a fighter as well. You can see that in him. He wants to break you down. He wants to beat you up, and he wants to knock you out. But up against Briedis, I think his defense was a bit better than what people give him. A lot of these people that were coming out and saying that, you know, Briedis was robbed. But if you really look at the fight in slow motion,
you've heard a lot of that.
I mean, there's a lot of people, Victor, that are coming out with these robbery videos. But if you really slow it down, look at it.
Wait, hold on. Go back to that. Do you mean like people in the comments or on YouTube or something like that, or do you mean like actual YouTubers like making videos about how he got robbed?
Yeah, no. There's
both.
A vast amount of people that are coming out and saying that, you know, Briedis won the fight, he got robbed, etc.
Again, like you mean like in the comments or in the videos themselves?
Videos itself.
That's odd. Do those people make a lot of videos, or are they like just random guys that just popped up now?
No, you're talking about experienced YouTubers who've been on for years. There's quite a lot of vociferous in that, but anyway, it doesn't matter. You know,
interesting.
That's their opinion. But if you actually look it down, Usyk actually blocked a hell of a lot of his shots. You know, Briedis operates pretty much straight down the middle. You know, he doesn't vary his punches too much. It's explosive. You know, jab, uppercut, left hook. Left hook is generally his counter-punching weapon. No doubt he was landing it, but eventually Usyk was able to block and parry a lot of his punches and counter-punch himself with his left hand over. But he could have done far more. I've seen him better, and I thought he was better against Michael Hunter personally, where he was increasing his velocity of punches and the frequency of his punches as well, actually walking him down, breaking him down. So I preferred that performance. But Gassiev in the final, I think Gassiev will be on the front foot, and I think Gassiev will be happier on the front foot, counter-punching on the front foot. He'll be able to cut the distance a lot quicker as well. I don't know whether Usyk's got the power to keep him at long range, at mid-range. That's going to be the question. I think Murat may be able to repel a lot of his punches, get deep inside the pocket, and he's going to have to break him down. He's going to have to work the body to restrict his movement, to slow him down, because Usyk is a superior conditioned athlete whose stamina is off the chart. He can go 15, 20 rounds easy. So Murat has got to invest in the body early. He's got to keep physical and psychological pressure, keep stalking him, minimize the distance, and then just keep unloading, doing what he did.
Yeah. A lot of people, going back to the Briedis Usyk fight, a few people said in video, like Hatman, for example, that it was an outright robbery. But there were also a lot of people, which in my opinion is completely wrong, who said it was a close fight. And I think that's because they maybe don't understand the difference between competitive and close. They're not always, they don't always go hand in hand. But a lot of people had it 7-5 for Usyk, and even that was completely wrong in my opinion, because if you bend over backwards, maybe you could give Briedis 4 rounds, but that's really, I think that's a biased scorecard anyway. But so and it's exactly what Corruption is saying. That's how I saw the fight. Usyk really took a lot of the punches on the guard, and even though his own punches didn't have as much power on them, they had a lot more effect because they were cleaner. And he took him to school. I'm not saying for 12 rounds, but there were moments and quite a few rounds where he really took him to school and busted him up. And yeah, a lot of people, if they didn't say it was an outright robbery, thought it was close, and even that is a ludicrous statement in my opinion. So, but as far as the final goes, man, I think it's, I'm not sure how it's gonna go. I think I have to watch both of these guys' fights over again, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were taking turns. If Usyk was actually backing Gassiev up a lot, don't be surprised if he does that.
I'm expecting that to happen.
I think it will. Yeah, he's gonna.
And it's not
really a lot
of
lateral movement.
It's not really because Usyk has enough power or a whole lot of power or anything like that. It's just the temperament of both fighters. I think Usyk is going to be able to back Gassiev up because Gassiev is going to concede to that anyways. It's just how he is. He's done that a few times to guys.
It's going to be the volume and the angles. Yeah.
That too. And it's not like Usyk is such a light puncher that you can just walk through all this shit. He has respectable power. It's not like he definitely doesn't hit as hard as Gassiev or Dorticos, but it's respectable power. You don't need to be that much of a power puncher. You need to have respectable power, which Usyk has.
Yeah, he's more of an attritional puncher.
Mm-hmm.
But if Usyk does, as you gentlemen said, back at Gassiev down, fine to a certain extent, because Gassiev has demonstrated today, if you back him down, he's still able to counterpunch even off the ropes. At times he was getting a little bit square. I was getting a bit concerned. But his technique, that's the thing. He doesn't lose his technique. He's extremely defensively conscious. He has that. His chin is tucked in, even though he's playing around with his gloves, because he's just trying to pry his opening. He's probing. He's thinking all the time. You can see his brain just working overtime. When am I going to explode with that left-hand uppercut through the guard? When is there going to be, an opening for me to exploit? And that's good. I think he's an extremely cerebral fighter who's just going to get better and better. So it's really is a mouth-watering final.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a little bit too early for Gassiev. I agree with everything that you're saying. I just think he's not going to be allowed to think too much. I think I think Usyk's going to be too much, and I don't think people realize just how strong that guy is. Usyk. He doesn't hit hard, so people think maybe he's not very strong. No, the dude is extremely strong, and he's big. So while I do agree that Gassiev is cerebral and he is getting better, there were big lulls in this fight with Dorticos, where Dortico applied pressure and Gassiev was waiting a little bit. I mean, I was sitting there and seeing him pass up counterpunching opportunities where he could have been doing something, but he's still so green, man. He's so green still, even though he is getting better and he is cerebral. He still needs time to beat someone like Usyk, in my opinion.
You know, guys, for a man who only had, 25 amateur bouts and only 25 professionals, just look at the level he's amassed and how good he looks at, such
he's only 24. Like,
it's fantastic.
24, that's crazy.
Yeah, and just look at how proficient he already is. It really is staggering.
He's very much like Canelo, without quite the same professional experience. But from what I understand, Canelo didn't really have anything in the way of amateur experience.
Yeah, he didn't.
Well,
and
dude,
Gassiev
basically,
sparred world champions.
Basically, Gassiev is as experienced as Gervonta Davis. Like, that's fucking ridiculous.
now listen, speaking
I'm not
of
exaggerating either. Like, it's basically the same shit. They're roughly the same age too. Gervonta Davis 23, Gassiev 24. That's like, how is this guy so good?
Exactly. I mean, that's what I was going to bring up, the age, because Gassiev is, what did you say, 24? 25?
24. Just turned 24.
Just turned 24. I think, would it be crazy to say that he might be improving more in the coming years than Usyk? Because let's face it, Usyk is 31.
But maybe.
He's had a longer amateur career, so he's set more on his style. So would it be crazy to say that Gassiev is going to be improving more than Usyk will at this point?
I agree with that statement, BDA. Yep.
Victor?
Maybe, but I'm also seeing improvements in Usyk. Maybe not as drastic. With Usyk, it's so difficult to have a gauge because he does so much. And with Gassiev, because he's so minimal, it's easier to notice the differences because he's very minimal in reserve. And, with Usyk, like, one improvement that I've noticed, and it's still not perfect, but he's really worked on turning his punches over, and he's better at it. He still slaps a little bit, but, he is getting better at it. And, man, that stamina is just retarded.
I think that's actually the most difficult thing to deal with for Usyk, the stamina, the work rate. That is fucking hard to deal with at cruiserweight, especially cruiserweight,
But
and this is the thing, Gassiev is so patient, and Usyk is not so. Even though he doesn't need as much time to figure you out, So he's always going to be dangerous, Gassiev, to Usyk, but you could really see Usyk being able to overload Gassiev's processor that's just not up to speed, man. I don't think it is. Gassiev really needs time.
I think Usyk takes as much time as Gassiev to figure somebody out. Usyk usually loses like the first, or at the very least doesn't do as well in the first 3 rounds as he normally, you know what I mean? Like towards the end of the fight he does, I think they took about the same time.
He's fought a higher level of competition, in my opinion.
Yeah, but even when he's not fighting the higher level competition, like look at Michael Hunter. Michael Hunter was competitive for the first 3 rounds. Then you had the Machino shit. A lot of guys like actually rate Machino higher, but like it's the same shit to me.
Yeah, but the thing with Usyk is that he fights all these different styles, and he goes to everybody's backyard, and he's just... Michael Hunter is very tricky, very difficult, very awkward. He doesn't hit very hard, but I haven't seen... Michael Hunter would make Gassiev... I'm not saying he would beat him, but he would make him look very bad. And I don't think Gassiev could knock Michael Hunter out. But
maybe that's an interesting fight that has to happen.
It's not a good measuring stick because Gassiev never fought anybody like that. Michael Hunter is, man, that guy is just so weird and herky-jerky and awkward, and he's got so many different moves, and he's so dirty, and slick. It would be a big challenge for Gassiev, I think.
Well, question is,
for example, didn't Michael Hunter beat up what's his face? Isaiah Thomas, who did give, even though Gassiev did knock him out, he did give Gassiev some trouble, right? But Michael Hunter didn't have much of a problem with that guy. So you see these levels, right? When Usyk is fighting a guy on the come up, he's fighting the better guy. You know what I mean? And I think he's fought a higher level of opposition. So it's
at the same time, though, that you could argue that falls back to what I was saying about how Gassiev doesn't really do too well in the first few rounds, because the first few rounds Isaiah Thomas was winning, and then where we saw that shit was going to go after that. So that might be an indication of that. We don't really know yet.
And precise, back to your point on improvement and regression under the two. With Usyk as well, remember he's had a bit of turbulence as well, transition towards fighting in the States. Yeah, exactly. And Ross Abner 1 minute was his trainer with Tabisa Makuno, but then he was the cutman, and Vatanek took the reins. So yeah, that's why we're probably getting a little bit of indifference. Once he has that continuity, that stability that Murat has now under Abel Sanchez, then those improvements that you alluded to will be more visible and they may be better and more forthcoming. I don't know as well.
Yeah, precise. Your mic is making noise again.
Yeah,
it's a connection.
Oh, it's a connection.
Mic.
So it doesn't matter if he mutes it?
Oh, he can try.
All right. Well, I think he just did. I don't know. So
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm pretty sure I heard a click and then nothing, so I think that's what he did.
Okay. So yeah, you were talking about corruption. You were talking about the progression of, or actually the stunt of his progress under different trainers.
Yeah, there are probably still areas of improvement. We're seeing, the ability to sit down on the punches, but I think he's got to try and learn to punch through the target, get those knuckles in play. Once he does that, and with Hunter, he was sitting down on his punches later on. So it's sometimes a compromise between volume and sort of punch placement, precision, and then power. So learning when to load up on your punches, but with Marco Huck, he was doing that because Huck with a tight high German guard, which their fighters have done under Steinwein for over sort of 40-50 years. When you're targeting the body, hence he was forcing Huck's guard to come down, and then he would target the head and launch high volume attacks to try and put him out. That was very good. That showed he picked his time, when to step on, when to sit down on his punches, and then eventually he took him out. But Marco Huck was also bad mouthing him, so that fight was personal. I think Usyk really wanted to hurt him and take him out. So yeah, we'll see later on once he has that continuity under his trainer. So he looks like an athlete who has an aptitude to learn and improve. So we'll see.
Absolutely. Now, we saw one guy make astronomical leaps in terms of progress, and that was Vasyl Lomachenko. Maybe that's just because he's 1 in a billion. But I do believe that a fighter can change. There's people out there that always live by that expression of a leopard can change its spots. Well, first of all, we're not leopards, we're human beings. And I've seen fighters, for example, Marco Antonio Barrera. Yeah, he started out as a slugger, but he could box. He just loved to go there and dig that hook to the body. Then after losing to Junior Jones, he became more of a counter-puncher, and we all know what happened there. So there is definitely room for improvement for both guys. Now, here's my question to you guys, because corruption brought up that German guard, both Usyk and Gassiev rely a lot on that high guard. They don't move the head all that much, although they can do it. But they prefer to just stay there, like sort of roll the shots off and then come up with their own offense. My question to you guys is, who do you think, and this has implications for later on, bigger implications, but who do you think has the better guard?
Between Gassiev and Usyk? Gassiev.
Anyone else?
They're different. I don't know who's better or worse. They're definitely different. What I do notice about Usyk is that he could drop punches from the guard a lot better, and he does have better head movement. with his hands up, which you don't see a lot of fighters doing, a la Mike Tyson style, right? But Usyk, his guard is a little bit more open, I would say, down the middle than Gassiev's, but at the same time, that allows him to see better, which allows him to, like, you see the opening, you try to go for it, and straight from the guard, he just drops the left hand or the right hand. And they're not monster punches, but they disrupt you, and they rob you of your power, and they work. So I would say Gassiev has a tighter guard, maybe a bit of a stronger guard, but I think Usyk's guard is more active, and he counterpunches from his guard a lot better than Gassiev does. But that, he has to give you something. He has to show you something and give you an opening so that he could counterpunch you also. So it's a more advanced guard, I would say, if not as tight of a guard.
Yeah, I think Usyk's transition from defense to offense is quicker.
Yeah.
Gassiev is a bit more bobbing. He's bobbing and weaving, and there's more sort of perpetual motion with his guard. He'll modify it. So I've even seen him go to a cross guard to try and block uppercuts. So there's more to meets the eye. I think both of them, they have that ability to vary and adjust. I think Usyk can probably counter punch better as well. From see, there's less. He's less telegraphed on his motion when he's making that transition. He doesn't. Yeah. There's not a great deal of backlift. There's not a great deal of shoulder or hip rotation. He can just fire it very quickly, very straight as well. So probably got to give the transition, the better transition for him, I think.
And
I don't think.
Yeah, go ahead, Precise. Go ahead.
I don't think people are really. I know some of you guys are, but I think a lot of people aren't really grasping what they saw with Usyk. Because look, Usyk, who's not considered a big puncher, right? We don't think he hits very hard. He went right at Briedis, who is just as big of a puncher as Dortico, if not more. Look, knocking out Manuel Char, whatever, you could disagree, I don't care. My opinion. Knocking out Manuel Char while going backwards.
Fantastic.
Vitaly Klitschko couldn't knock the guy out, okay? He stopped him. So the guy hits very hard. If not, even if not as hard as Dortico, he is a puncher, no doubt about it. The guy can hit. And what Usyk did is he went right after him. He was so confident in his defense and his angles and his ability to get you out of position to where he basically took your power from you. And even when he did get hit cleanly with those uppercuts, he was strong enough and confident enough to be able to take your power. And even though Gassiev did a marvelous job against Dortico, when he had a big puncher in front of him, you did see him taking his time, backing away, and taking it easy. Usyk went right at him. So I think a lot of the times people, they're so used to guys going backwards and taking their time and quote-unquote boxing. When they see a guy coming forward, they don't see that as skillful. But what he did in that fight, and Briedis is a technically very good fighter, what he did in that fight is very impressive. How he came forward, busted him up, and outboxed him coming forward, not having half the power that Briedis has. And maybe I'm exaggerating, but you get the point.
Well, I want to say something about Briedis being as good a puncher as Doherty, because it's kind of hard to tell because we don't have a machine. We only have to go. We can only go by the eye test and by the results of their fights. Now, could it be that Briedis knocked out Char and it was an aberration? Maybe, but I will say this. Briedis, I think he is a good puncher, but he's what I call an inconsistent puncher because he doesn't really want to commit all that much. Now, that doesn't mean you're wrong precisely. It actually proves you're right that he can punch. But for the most part, when he punched, it's almost like I see a couple of like little arm punches there. Like he doesn't put his whole weight behind his shots. But then again, he also, like you said, he dropped Char and he also dropped Durudola during their fight, and it was a very good right hand that Durudola didn't see coming. So yeah, Briedis can punch, but here's the thing that worries me. A lot of his shots were piercing Usyk's guard. Gassiev is a bigger puncher than Briedis. I mean, what can we expect if Usyk stands in front of Gassiev?
He's gonna beat him up, guys.
Okay.
He's gonna beat Gassiev up, guys. He's gonna beat him up. Watch, you'll see.
Well,
Obviously, Gassiev's gonna be dangerous. he's gonna be dangerous, and he could hurt him, and he could even put him down. But Usyk's gonna beat him up, man. I'm telling you.
Best thing about this tournament is that we don't have to wait long to find out. When
Yeah.
is the final supposed to be exactly? Does anybody know? Do they even have like a set date for it? I know they have like a tentative date, right?
I think it's
I'll look it up.
May the 21st. Did I hear?
Oh,
Saudi Arabia.
I could have sworn it's in May. I think you're right.
hey
I
man.
could be wrong, Victor. I'm just tentatively is what I heard. I think 21st.
Yeah.
of May.
I heard that too, like tentatively, but like I feel like Gassiev didn't get like busted up in this fight, so I'm pretty sure we're going to set for the May, whatever 21st. Say that sound. I don't see why it would like get delayed.
Yeah, you never know, man.
Gassiev needs to work on his counter punching, man. He really needs to work on his counter punching, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think he's going to like improve by the time the match actually happens, though, and then keep on improving afterwards.
But the thing with Usyk is that his probing and his feigning is just it's another level above everybody in the division. Now, Briedis was pretty good at it, but he couldn't hang. Gassiev is starting to get to that level, and he does well against guys who allow him to do that. But tonight, you weren't really seeing him setting his punches up with feints as well as he can against a guy that doesn't pressure him, that he could do whatever he wants against. And Usyk, his feints and his probes are like they're on another level, man. You'll see how he'll confuse and befuddle Gassiev with that, and he's gonna have a puncher's chance, but that's all he's gonna have in that fight.
Yeah, BDA is gonna be right back, so let's keep it
Yeah,
going.
I mean, I'm not making any predictions. Obviously, I've predicted that Usyk's gonna win the tournament, like most people. Duh. But for me, Gassiev is not ready to win that fight. He's ready to compete, but I don't think he's ready to beat someone like Usyk. I think Usyk's been a little bit overhyped, and now I think he's being underestimated by a lot of boxing fans, and the bookies might underestimate him too. But man, he's on another level, guys. I'm telling you, that guy's on another level
Now, like, what do you think the winner should do?
of the tournament.
Usyk's been talking
Yeah.
about moving up to heavyweight, so I expect him to do that. If he wins, if Gassiev wins, I guess a Lebedev rematch is to be like to get the full WBA title, and he'd be undisputed. I imagine that's going to happen for either guy, you know.
Yeah, well, Usyk is young. Gassiev is young, so he can stay at cruiserweight and then maybe eventually move. But for
Yeah.
Usyk, for sure, he has to. I mean, money-wise, it's the best option. You're the cruiserweight undisputed champion. I mean, you just won the tournament.
Mhm.
Now you go to
Guys,
heavyweight.
Win, lose or draw, Usyk's moving up. He's struggling to make
Yeah.
the weight. Win, lose
Yeah,
or
you're
draw,
right.
he's moving up. Gassiev, if he does move up to heavyweight, if he wins, and that's a big uh, if he does, he should fight Journeyman, and he should like get his feet wet at the heavyweight division. Usyk, if he does go up, which he will, if he wins, he should just go straight for the top. In my opinion. He should go straight for.
Murat would do the same thing. You know, he's already spoken about it. He walks around at 230 pounds, so Abel has to get
Yeah,
him
you
down.
know, I agree. I think they will. Sanchez and they'll go straight for the top because look, if you're the undisputed cruiserweight, you fill out the paperwork, you're automatically a mandatory for the WBA and I think the WBO, just like what happened with Terrence Crawford, right? So why wouldn't you take that opportunity, right? That's millions of dollars. You go straight into that fight, and I think the winner will do that, and you should expect that. However, I think Usyk is the one who has more of a chance of succeeding at heavyweight right now than
I think so
Gassiev
too.
does, which is why even though I like Gassiev better as a fighter, I want Usyk to win also because he has more of a chance, and Gassiev he'll get ruined if he goes up against someone like Joshua right now.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, and Usyk can actually survive at the very least. You know what I mean?
To see if he's got the age to be patient. He doesn't have to do it immediately.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, Gassiev, he's younger. He can stay in cruiserweight, maybe fight Lebedev again, and then maybe eventually move up. But yeah, it seems like Usyk's body, his frame, he's 6'3", I think. I mean, he has to be struggling, like he says. So
Yeah, he
By
said
the
he
way,
had to go like without food for like food or water for like 3 days just to make cruiserweight. Like, oh, that's
shit,
pretty
man. So
fucking
maybe he's not
bad.
even fighting at his best, man.
Yeah, so another thing I was
You
thinking
know
about
what I
as soon as I
mean?
heard that shit, I was like, oh fuck, there's no way you're like 100% after doing that shit.
Yeah, so give him more credit if he wins the whole tournament.
But that's what people don't understand when he moves up to heavyweight. They're just saying, oh, these guys are too big for him. And that may very well be true. But what they're not understanding is that we're not seeing Usyk at 100%. Like when Kell Brook moved up to fight Golovkin, he looked great from his standpoint, right? Don't look at all the punches he's eating, but like he looked great. He looked very, very good and strong. And
That
that's
was
going to be
probably
the
the
same
best
thing
Kell
with
Brook.
Usyk. Yeah, that's
Either
going to be the
that or the
same thing with
Carson Jones
Usyk.
rematch. It's probably like Kell Brook's best performance, which
What?
is kind of
At 154. But that was
yeah,
154.
exactly.
Right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, which kind of says a lot about Kell Brook at welterweight. You know, he's not a guy that should have been at welterweight for that fucking long.
He was a weight bully, and it
Yeah.
backfired.
You know
Well-
something, gentlemen. If you aggregate the number of losses of Kell Brook's opponents who he's fought, I think the figure is near 1,000.
Holy shit!
Wow.
For real?
Yeah, because Kell Brook has a lot of guys that you look at the opponents of Kell Brook's records. That shit is kind of hilarious.
That is the definition of a padded record.
Yeah, it's
He fought a
actually
guy
really
three
bad.
times.
Go to BoxRec right now, Bucho, and just like look at Kell Brook's opponents. You're gonna see a guy that's like 24 and 139 and shit like that.
Whoa!
I'm not exaggerating at all. Just look at it right now. You're gonna laugh.
Yeah, I think I looked at it, Victor. You know, and I just said to myself, I just computed it in my head. To me, I didn't do it via calculator, but to me, it looked at over 1,000. So
Yeah, like let's see. I'm looking at this right
We
now.
started talking about Kell Brook, and I just see immediately Lowplace joins us again. Lowplace, you want to talk about Kell Brook?
2007 and prior. Just look at all that shit. Or prior to 2007, rather.
It's up on the screen.
Oof.
Yeah, there's a guy, David Kirk, 11 wins, 58 losses. But I mean, that's the type of opponent you give to a. That's the type of opponent you give to a prospect, right? I mean,
Yeah.
BDA, that's what Eddie Hearn did with him. That was a protected, integrated fighter for so long. When he had his first great major test against Carson Jones, what happened? He looked
Destroyed.
like dog shit in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then he fucked him up badly in the rematch. The sad thing about that is like Brook is good enough to not need that shit, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true, right? Because when he did fight Porter, it was a sloppy fight. There was a lot of holding, but still, I mean, he beat Porter better than Thurman did, or in a
Thurman
more
did,
in a
yeah.
cleaner
Thurman
fashion.
should have lost that fucking fight as far as I'm concerned.
Who should have?
He did lose.
Thurman should have lost that fight.
Oh yeah, you do. Yeah, you have that opinion.
See what BDA what I'm saying is a bit of a dichotomy there. He was a lot better than what his handlers did with his career. They should have tested him. You know, he grew up in that Winkerbank gym with with Johnny Nelson, Prince Nassim,
Mhm.
a lot of fighters. That's a very illustrious, coveted gym. They prize more champions than any other city in the UK. They should have tested him a lot quicker, a lot better. That his career, I think, overall would have been a lot better as well. I think there would have been longevity. He would have been more decorated. All right, you can have wins and losses. Look, when cats fight, somebody has to lose.
Mhm.
But sadly, we live in an era of a prospect champion, and people just look at. There's too many of these box rec motherfuckers who just look at somebody's record and has 3 or 4 losses, and they automatically condemn this guy as a bum or is useless, whatever.
Mhm.
I keep reiterating, it's not about the record; it's about the resume.
It's about what goes on in the ring too.
I
right?
agree.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What BDA says, not even just the resume, but just like how you looked versus those opponents.
Now let me ask
Yeah.
corruption in boxing something, because you're saying that Kell Brook could have been better promoter or managed or matchmaked better. But I mean, my question is this: if he did ask for the Golovkin fight, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so do you think Eddie Hearn told him, "Hey, listen, forget about it"? Do you think he tried to talk him out of it, or do you think he just went with it and said, "Oh yeah, that's gonna make big money"?
See, look, BDA, look, Eddie Hearn and his father have always been extremely shrewd businessmen. Now, giving you a little backstory, you know, the Hearns, when they first launched their company, their main business was snooker and that back in the day. Their father made a gamble with Steve Davis, a famous snooker player, but he came from very humble beginnings. They invested everything with him.
Mm-hmm.
Then eventually moved over to darts, and there was a major defection from the BBC, which had the main tournament, and they defected onto Sky Sports. The Hearns stopped that defected tournament, which was heavily criticised, and now it's like one of the biggest money-spinning ventures of all time. So these are extremely shrewd businessmen. They were there before Kell Brook, and they're going to be there certainly after. To a certain extent, Eddie Hearn was not making any money with Kell Brook, and that, I think, was pivotal. I think he just fed into the lions. I think he realized Kell Brook was coming towards the end, and it's about, at the end of the day, they got to accumulate as well, and that is their proclivity. They may not say it to their fighter, but I think Eddie Hearn should not have put him in with Golovkin. I thought it was a fundamental mistake, and I'm not surprised what materialized.
Mm-hmm.
Broken orbital bone, and then Kell Brook. He was. You look at why Kell Brook took that Errol Spence fight. Kell Brook did everything in his capacity to fight anybody else apart from Errol Spence. He was trying with Amir Khan. He tried with Miguel Cotto. He was putting his name out. He was saying, Errol Spence, who the hell is he? He doesn't even deserve to share the ring with him. He couldn't even entertain that idea. And that was it. Kell Brook couldn't get a fight even with a belt. So could you imagine what he was like without a belt?
Mm-hmm.
So hence that's what precipitated him taking that fight with Errol Spence. And then eventually he was saying, well, yeah, it's a good fight. To me, poorly managed, money. He wanted to cash out. He made his money between both fights. And I've got a feeling when he goes up to 154, he's going to get knocked out in his debut.
But this is my question, because he fought Errol Spence, and from what I saw, it did very well in terms of attendance. Was that due to people in the UK respecting Kell Brook because of him taking the leap in weight against Triple G?
No. He's Kell Brook has an affiliation with Sheffield, and Sheffield with Sheffield United, the main football club there. The fight took place at the stadium, so it was predominantly the Sheffield United football fans who attended, because that's what they do on a Saturday afternoon. Actually, there wouldn't have been a game because the stadium was being, it had been reserved obviously for a fight. So, so no BDA. I don't think it was the UK behind him. I just think it was the contingency in Sheffield just turning out for a fight.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the Golovkin fight was a good decision. I thought going right in with Errol Spence after the Golovkin fight at 147 pounds, that was a terrible decision. Look,
Awful.
you're gonna have tough fights, and you're gonna get your ass beat here and there. So take however many millions you got against Golovkin. They should have stopped that fight earlier. But it's this hometown bias where he lands an uppercut or two, and the judges are scoring him, giving him these rounds that he's not winning. So there's that incentive to continue, because if he just makes the round close, he's going to win the decision. That fight should have been stopped earlier.
You want to hear
Should have been
something
stopped
funny
earlier than that?
that I heard from a fan? Bro, they actually gave Kell Brook the third round on the basis of the uppercut that Brook landed in the second round, and they were dead fucking serious. They had no problem with doing that.
Oh, they put the replay in from the second round after the third. Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, they were like, well, Brook did very well in the second round. I feel like Golovkin, he didn't recover from the uppercut in the third round, so I'm going to give Brook the third round too. Like, that's not how that shit works. And they had
Brook
no problem.
Maybe he maybe won one round in that fight if you're really being objective. Maybe. So
at
that
best, people had like the second round was an ass game. It wasn't even a fucking ass game. It was a competitive with Brook having like a highlight. That's it.
But that's not the fight that ruined him, in my opinion. He should have taken a 1 year layoff after that, couple of years. He should have retired for a moment, built himself back up, and come back to fight Khan. Fuck Errol Spence. Fuck your pride. You just got paid. Duck Errol Spence. Vacate your belt. Him, after he went up to 160, him coming back down to 147, that's what did the damage to Kell Brook.
That's a good point.
And he just wasn't ready. He just wasn't ready psychologically for that same kind of fighter. He just wasn't ready for it psychologically. At least against Golovkin, he was at his best.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now
Errol
I think
Spence,
Lowplace wants to jump in. I'm pretty sure Lowplace has something to say.
No, I'm just listening. I thought his technique.
You're on the chat. I've been reading what you've been writing on the chat.
Yeah, I don't know where the conversation started, so I'm listening to pick up where it got to that.
By the way, I wanted to ask, Sky Sports is the one that was televising the Brook Triple G fight, correct?
Sky Sports, yeah.
It was Sky Sports. Okay, which is it? Box Nation or Sky Sports that has a Scottish guy on it that's always talking like?
Oh, he's gone.
Oh, he's gone. Thank God.
It's been a while.
Okay, but speaking
used
of,
to be the former lightweight world champion Jim Watts. Yeah.
Yeah, Jim Watts. Okay, yeah, I remember because what voltage. Anyway, precise. I want to talk about what you said about Kell Brook should have taken, fuck pride and just take a little break. That's the way Khan did it after the Canelo fight. He's taking more than a year off now, and he's going to be coming back against Philo Greco, who, is going to give him a couple of good rounds. He's stocking it up in the press conferences, so it should do somewhat well in attendance because Khan is a bit of a name in the UK, especially after he was in that reality show. So there's in the end, it plays better for Khan because he might or might not be refreshed, but at least we're going to find out against Lo Greco. And if he does beat Lo Greco, he takes on Kell Brook, who again, he's coming back and he's taking on a tough dude from what I hear. I forget his name, but some Eastern European guy.
No, I forget. Yeah, and like come back at 154, you know what I mean? Slightly bigger gloves, you're healthier yourself, you will have had a layoff. Like that was a bad decision after Golovkin going to fight Errol Spence, and I knew he wasn't going to win that fight, so that's where they went wrong in my opinion. But the Golovkin, like, that's once in a lifetime opportunity, you know what I mean? Go for it, take the money and run.
Now, in hindsight,
that's what they're in it for, right? They're in it to make money.
I mean, you've not only have you damaged yourself, but then psychologically you're going into the next fight, obviously worrying about,
You're right.
Not only on the feasibility, but whether your injury is going to sustain the bombardment that is forthcoming. And now going forward, he's always going to have that with his left eye and his right eye. So I think, we see a little bit with James DeGale, the way Badou Jack, systematically broke him down, pulverized him literally. And James DeGale in his next fight was reticent, not to engage. Under tight guard, languishing on the ropes. So that's psychologically, you're so afraid of being knocked out.
I don't think Kell Brook looked like James DeGale though. I think Kell Brook showed up way better for the fight, and I just want to put that out there. Like he had his technique there today. That fight had to be won in sequences. Like you could not just initial move no initial move was just going to win you that fight. You got to block, then bang, block again, then bang. And Errol Spence was the guy that, he stuck the sequence out longer for the most part of the fight. And that's what won him the fight. James DeGale was just, his face was like, don't swing at me, please, mommy. That's the first thing I thought when I saw DeGale was mommy. I don't think that was Brook. I think Brook is getting a little too much sympathy because he fought too damn good versus a guy who's kind of a punch perfect fighter to think, that he wasn't good enough that night. The man fought a fucking good fight. He just didn't, at this level, the sequence is gonna tell it, I believe.
See, Kell Brook is a sharpshooter. That's him. He's a sharpshooter from mid-range who's, if you look at all of his victories today and you look at the percentage, he is all about punch accuracy. Straight punches, good jab, 1-2, check hook, straight right hand. Nothing too complex, convoluted. There's no inside game there. It's about sharpness. That's his game. If you look at in the Errol Spence fight, his accuracy was shocking. He was missing punches. He was trying to counter Errol when Errol was coming forward. The uppercut punches were missing. Now, if Kell doesn't have that accuracy, he doesn't have anything else to his game. Hence the reason why I think he got slowly broken down, demoralized, and he capitulated.
Yeah, he was drained. He just wasn't the same fighter anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that it does represent something about how a guy should be managed. Kell Brook is a good fighter, but again, that Errol Spence fight, I saw Errol Spence, he's right now, many consider him the best welterweight in the world, and Kell Brook might or might not have been a welterweight anymore by that time. I mean, the guy does look pretty. Against Golovkin, he looked cut and big. So I gotta wonder what the hell he was cutting in order to make 147 against Errol Spence. But whatever it was, it does represent it does raise the question of when a guy should be properly matched. But again, like corruption, you said how some people only look at BoxRec and they judge fighters based on records. Those same type of people, almost all the time, not always, but if a guy refuses to do what Precise says, which is put aside your pride and look after your health, they come out and they start saying, bitch, he's a dodger, he's afraid. Like, look at what's going on with Keith Thurman and Errol Spence. Keith Thurman apparently is saying he doesn't want to fight Errol Spence. That's what I heard people say. I don't know if it's true or not. And people are immediately making memes about Thurman being scared and all that. And I mean, they're funny, but are we going a little too overboard by calling somebody afraid when the year isn't even over and their careers aren't even over and they might end up fighting sooner rather than later?
Anybody who called Kell Brook a bitch after he got in the ring with Triple G is not a boxing fan, okay? Anybody who would have given... Look, you could say he ducked. If he were to duck Errol Spence, fine. Mm-hmm. You could say that. But that would have been a smart move, man. I mean, how many times have we seen guys go up and wait and come back down and look like shit? You know what I mean? It's just... It was well within his right to vacate that belt and take a year or two off from boxing and come back to 154.
How many times have we seen a guy go up 2 weight divisions and look like shit too? Like he was ducking initially, like Gus said. Corruption in boxing said, motherfucker was scared and he didn't want that work. If you believed in yourself, you go defend your title. Then you can go play with Triple G, 154, and all those guys all you want. That's the correct way of doing it.
Brook wasn't scared of anybody.
The man wanted a paycheck, and that paycheck and money can come. Fear comes somewhere in there as well.
Not really, man. Not really.
Lowplace.
He wasn't trying to defeat his mandatory. That's all I'm saying. His mandatory was chasing him, doing it the way he's supposed to. It's an A-level prospect you could have put hands on.
Golovkin's more dangerous.
Much more dangerous. You got. So what? I'd rather get my ass whooped for a paycheck as well than for less of a check. Who gives a fuck? He wasn't winning.
So what's the
he didn't think he was winning either fight.
It's not like the Golovkin fight was always there. The only reason the Golovkin fight happens because Eubank backed out of the fight and they were like scrambling to find it.
Come on, man.
It's not
come
like,
on.
Yeah, that's true, man.
Come on,
Golovkin's looking for a paycheck. Golovkin's looking for a paycheck, just like any other. And you can't blame him. You can, if you want, you can get a little.
Do you think he fought out Kell Brook?
He's looking. What I'm telling you is, if Kell Brook would have, and they said, "Come on over to UK, we can make a lot of money." I don't doubt Gennady Golovkin would have took his ass and done it, and you can't blame him if he did. You just have to look.
No, that's not true. That's not true because Kell Brook is on IFL TV 6 months before that fight ever happened, saying he wants to fight Golovkin. Everybody's calling him crazy, and the other side is calling Golovkin a ducker. When the fight happens, the same people that were doing that, the same people that were doing that are criticizing the fight. You know what I mean? So it's you can't make boxing fans happy. You shouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, okay, that's a fine argument.
Make your
for
money.
Them. That's a fine argument for them.
Make your money. Like, get to the top, make your money, and try to preserve your health, man. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah, that's a fine. But he didn't do that. He went up 2 weight divisions where health is not normally preserved. And he should have just fought his mandatory. I guess the conversation is going to. Some people can interpret this as, well, if he didn't fight Golovkin, he'd beat Spence. Look, the man was telling you from.
Nobody said that.
I agree, but talking about him is, I just think it's the stupidest thing in the world. He fucked himself. You beat your mandatory. Okay, if you're that good, you're that confident. Maybe I'm in the wrong. Maybe my argument is too strong because nobody agrees that he would have beat Spence, and maybe nobody agrees disagrees that he was ducking spin.
That's the problem.
But
That's the problem of this conversation is that we're saying this, and you're thinking that we're saying, oh, if Brook wouldn't have gone to 160, he would have beaten Errol Spence.
Take it easy, man. Or neither one of them.
Okay, but Lopez. Take it easy. Nobody is attacking.
Why not take the fight against Golovkin?
But nobody's attacking. Nobody. Hey, wait, one at a time. One at a time.
If you beat Earl,
Jesus fucking Christ! Another goddamn motherfucking.
So you mean to tell me boxing?
Guys, I don't want to mute somebody. Do I have to mute somebody? Lopez. Do I talk non-stop when I go on your podcast? Come on, guys. One at a time. Jesus. One at a time, please. It's getting out of hand.
You drowned. Yeah, you had drowned out. I couldn't hear what you were saying. What'd you say?
Okay. That's fine. Well, listen, guys. Listen, Lopez. Nobody's attacking Errol Spence. All right? You can take it. You can rest assured we're not attacking Errol Spence by talking about Kell Brook and whether he was mismanaged or not. Okay? The point is this, and I agree with everybody else on this one. Kell Brook saw the Triple G fight. And like Victor said, the fight wasn't going to be there all the time. He went up and he didn't fight. His mandatory was Errol Spence, whose best win at that time was what? Had he beaten Chris Algieri by that point?
Yeah.
Okay, so his best win was Chris Algieri. All right. Kell Brook looks at that and he goes, okay, who do I take on? A mandatory who's not going to make me a lot of money? Or Triple G, one of the most avoided guys, 160. But then again, also take into consideration, Khan had just fought Canelo as well. And Kell Brook has a he's got a vendetta against Khan. And so he said, if you fight Canelo, I'm going to fight the next big thing, or the biggest guy that everybody's avoiding. That's Gennady Golovkin. So that's what happened. It was big. It made sense for him financially. In hindsight, it cost him his health. But what I'm saying is, it's unreal, or to expect him to have taken on Errol Spence when the Triple G fight was there at that time.
It's not unreal to think a guy. It's not unreal to think a guy should not go up 2 weight divisions. It's not unreal. And it's just not unreal to think that.
To say that he ducked Spence when he fought Spence while he had the belt well within his limit, that's just ludicrous. That is completely. Hold on. Let me finish.
Spence. No, you're taking
my words.
One at a time.
You're taking my words out of context.
Okay. Let me finish. Let me finish. Ducking is finite, okay? When you duck something, you didn't get hit by it, right? And I saw Kell Brook get hit by Errol Spence quite a bit. So he wasn't ducking him. He was weighing out his options. He went for the money fight, and then he still fought against Errol Spence when it was least advantageous to him. He took on Errol Spence because he's dumb and prideful, and he shouldn't have done that. So whether he was or wasn't, but ultimately he fought him. Ultimately, he fought him within the allowed period, according to the IBF. He fought the mandatory. So to sit there and say that he was ducking Errol Spence, it's irrelevant. He fought him. Like, come on, give the guys.
He was looking for every way out of it. He ducked. I'm not telling you. You're
just a hater, man. You're just.
Let Lowplace reply.
Hold on. I didn't tell you didn't see the fight. I said during that time where you're saying, hey, should I go to 60 where I've proved nothing, 54 where I've proved nothing, or should I fight my mandatory like most champions do and sit my 2 weight division ass down and fight my mandatory? Which one? That's what you do. Me calling out what normally happens turns me into a hater. But look, if you beat Errol Spence, you can get the Triple G fight if you want. That dude, it's not like Triple G just out here didn't go for the money versus Canelo. He did. He just took money over unification just the other day. That's what he done.
But you completely
he wants money. He's 34. He's 35, 36 years old. He wants money too. Kell Brook was a money fight. He took it. He'll do it again, and you can't blame him for it. Because I would do the same fucking shit.
Okay, but you're missing the point.
Kell Brook was ducking.
I'm confused now.
He fought him later. He did fight him later, and he made a lot of money to do that too. It's just simple.
Man, but so what you shitting on?
One at a time.
I'm just shitting. I'm shitting on the actions before the Golovkin. I just don't feel like he should have ever been in the ring with Golovkin. It should have never happened.
He's actually right to a certain extent. If you look at the sequence of events leading up to the fight, Amir Khan was in protracted negotiations with Kell Brook. That fight was going to take place outdoors, May 90,000 people. Kell Brook at the time was the IBF champion, so they could have sold that fight in the UK, probably on Kell Brook's Matchroom. So Matchroom have got a contract with Sky Sports Box Office. Both of them from what I heard, would have made about 6 million at least each. Could have been a lot more. That's excluding pay-per-view splits. That's just their standalone, bog standard purse. So overall, they could have made 8-10 million each. That was the fight Kell Brook wanted, but Amir Khan was insisting on a higher purse for himself. He thought he was the big draw, given that he'd been fighting in the States, whatever else. So that fight broke down. So the frustration from that is what precipitated him going into the Golovkin fight. Because he just lost the opportunity to fight for 8-9 million. And he took that fight and thought it was an error. He didn't want Errol Spence at all. He was trying to extricate himself from that obligation, but it was the IBF. It said, like, you do not get, although you fought 2 mandatories before in Bizier and God knows Jojo Dan, whatever, he fulfilled those obligations. But then he took a voluntary against Golovkin, and then for the Spence, he had no choice. He had to take that fight. They were trying to get an extension. Errol Spence wasn't interested in no step-aside money. So his options...
Good job.
Yeah. So,
well, he had a choice. He could have vacated the belt and dealt with the criticism. He could have done that. He had a choice. But he fought him. He got his ass whooped. Give the man his credit. Move on. He didn't duck Errol Spence. He fought Errol Spence.
Let me tell you something.
And he didn't do it when it was best for him to do it. Whatever.
Yeah, but listen...
guys, let's just talk about the cruiserweights, maybe.
Exactly, because listen, I know where this is going. I know where Lowplace is trying to get at, but I mean, we're not gonna go there because it's at the end of the day, Errol Spence.
I'm not going anywhere.
Come on, Lowplace, come on.
The truth, man.
Don't think of me as a stupid guy, please. I know where this is going, and we're not. Errol Spence is a great fighter. Almost everybody agrees he might be the best welterweight, even though a lot of Keith Thurman has been there longer. But anyway, we're not gonna.
No.
What?
No.
No what?
I don't know.
You were saying no. Anyways, I don't know what's going on.
Somebody else. I thought he was freaking out because we were saying that Spence might be the best welterweight.
Well, he might be. I don't know. But
I was talking to somebody in the house. I wasn't on mute. My bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I hope you weren't talking to yourself, man, because then that would be bad news. But
anyways, cruiserweights again.
Yeah, why not cruiserweights? I mean, listen, Usyk versus
Fuck that.
What? Fuck that one.
Yeah, let's go to cruiser. Man, the final. It's gonna be great, man. I'm gonna be hyped up though. I don't know who's going to Saudi Arabia for that though.
Well, Ahmed said he might go, but then again, I gather from his name that he might be Muslim, so he could have an easier time over there. I heard, and I don't know if you guys have heard this, but that the homosexual population over there is underground, but in plain sight at the same time. Meaning,
the fuck you mean underground? Are they moles?
They're undercover.
Isn't traveling then, innit?
Was that?
I said, good job, Butcho is not going over there then.
Yeah, good job. Well, he wants to go there.
No, I'm not gonna go.
He wants to go there.
No, you can drink, so fuck it, man. What the hell?
But listen, Saudi Arabia, they've held, I think, MMA events there, right? I think the UFC wants to go there at some point. So they might have or maybe I'm thinking of some of those other rich, Qatar or what's the other one? United Arab Emirates. So Emirates, I don't know.
Yeah. Emirates.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, one of those, they do get into that whole entertainment thing. And by the way, the World Cup on, what is it, 2022? That's in Qatar.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that's going to work over there. It's smaller than Texas. And they're going to be hosting a lot of football fans that are going to want to drink and carouse with women. I don't know how that's going to work in Qatar, man. But anyway, this cruiserweight thing, yeah, they're trying to make it in Saudi Arabia. I don't know. Does it happen in Saudi Arabia or?
It's done. It's a done deal.
Where do you think the 50 million came from, bro?
Okay.
So but that came after though. It wasn't planned. I mean, that was just like a few months ago where they decided that the final was gonna. Yeah, you're right. So I mean, we don't fucking know, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you really think the Saulians have got a market capitalization of 50 million, or Richard Schaefer? They never had.
No.
Money was.
Didn't Saudi Arabia offer like $1 billion to have Joshua and Klitschko there? Didn't they offer a ton of money for Pacquiao Mayweather? You know what? They've been trying it. Yeah. Or was it Dubai? Same shit. There's a lot of money in the Middle East, and they want those circuses. You know what I mean? So.
Well, here's my question.
Trying to bring sports entertainment over there.
They're talking about the Canelo versus Golovkin rematch. They haven't yet announced a specific location, but most people assume it's going to be Las Vegas because, like Steve Kim always says, if they want to fight they get it because they have that casino money. But I'm wondering, how does it work? Like Saudi Arabia has that oil money. So who beats who in Las Vegas versus Saudi Arabia, if it ever came to that? Anybody know?
But Golden Boy's not gonna give up that sort of control.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Going to Saudi Arabia or somewhere in the Middle East.
Right.
They're probably willing to make less money and have the control where Canelo's marketability doesn't suffer in case he should, there should be fair judging and all that other stuff. So they could have made more money with Canelo other places, but they want that protection.
What I don't understand is why they don't fight in fucking Texas. I feel like it would be the same thing as far as like Canelo's like star power and having the control of the judges. It seems like Texas would be more advantageous for them than Vegas.
That's a good point.
Or not more, but just like equally
Vegas offers
advantageous.
more money in from what's it called now?
The hell
You cut out a little bit. I don't know what
you
you're
cut
trying
out.
to say.
Oh, I'm saying they get a better offer. Golden Boy gets a better offer from Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
the
I would say
stadium's
you
so
can.
much
They
bigger.
can't.
When the ticket sales like cancel
They
that
don't care
out,
about that.
wouldn't they though? Like I really have no
Yeah.
idea how this works. This is like legitimate questions. Like it seems like it would.
No, they get big gates in Vegas because there's high rollers paying, $5,000 for a ringside seat, and in Texas you maybe pay $1,500. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, and then like you're saying that like even with the like higher occupancy that it wouldn't equal out to the. I got you.
It's
They
like
also-
20,000 people versus 50,000 people, and the tickets on average are more than twice the price because when you weigh the fuck up there in some big stadium, what are you really paying? $50? The cheapest ticket in Vegas is probably $200. So I don't.
Golden Boy.
Golden Boy gets a better deal for they give him a better deal. Like MGM, I think the MGM owns the AT&T Stadium, right?
They have the hotel. People go gamble. They stay at the hotel. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of revenue.
So Las Vegas. I mean, they want people to come in for the event, so they give a better deal to Golden Boy. They're like, come here, we'll and that, and the Golden Boy's like, okay, I'm gonna make the fight over there, and then it becomes a huge weekend for Las Vegas.
Ocho, that's it. If you understand the history of Las Vegas, how it was built, when the Vito Genoveses, when they sent Benjamin Bugsy Siegel to oversee the first hotels and the casinos, and how that was established, and that tied with organized crime has always remained there. It's all about who generates more money. That's why they control. That's why Las Vegas has got their own taxation system. They've got their own political system. It is all about, and that's why Golden Boy is so adamant in having the fight there, because it's politics. Canelo generates more money for the Tricadias and the Armenians who control the hotels and the casinos who set the odds. This whole thing is geared towards them. That is their protection. And Floyd Mayweather could have got robbed 10 years ago, but he has always made so much. They could have robbed him at any time they wanted, but he was the golden goose for them, so they're not going to fuck around with that relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, also the tax issue is way bigger.
Yeah.
More tax in New York, so that's why they wouldn't never do Golovkin Canelo in. Just because of the taxes, they pay more taxes. They don't want to fucking pay taxes.
Bucho, you're cutting up a little bit there. All right. Well, listen, this is the thing. Like Victor said, like everybody said, it is about the money. That's why they go to Vegas, because they have the high rollers and the hotels and all that, and a little bit of other nefarious things going on under there. But also, I mean, if they really wanted to, they could take the fight away from Golovkin in any other place. I mean, Texas, come on, that's where Julio Cesar Chavez got a draw against Pernell Whitaker, one of the worst decisions ever. So Texas it's one of those states. It is the state that people hate the most from the U.S. I mean, I'm scratching my head here. Which other state has had worse decisions? I mean, Native American, those casinos that are owned by Native Americans, yeah, they have their bad decisions because they're not regulated by any particular state athletic commission. But Texas, man, especially with Lawrence Cole and his son,
Texas will show you how to properly do a robbery.
Exactly. I think it goes back to the whole thing from what's his name, Jesse James, and all those other outlaws, man. They have that in their genetics. Now, here's my question to you guys: if Golden Boy, for some reason, let's say the fight, Canelo deserves the fight, and then for some reason they give it to Golovkin, how soon or within how much time do you guys expect De La Hoya to be prancing around Las Vegas, coked up, and wearing women's panties? I mean, do you think he goes nuts if that decision goes to Canelo? I mean, against Canelo?
I think if that happens, it will be because Oscar planned that, and they're just trying to make a third fight happen.
Yeah. We talked about that in another podcast about how that might, they might try to milk this and make it into a series. I mean, it is the biggest fight out there, other than Joshua versus Wilder, and even that fight, as precise as I said before, might not get as much international exposure as many of us previously thought. So
yeah, I don't think it will, honestly. It's mainly Joshua that's carrying that whole shit. At least for Canelo and Golovkin, you have two guys carrying shit. Although neither one of them is equal to Joshua, I feel like combined it would do more.
I mean, look at today in the UK. Yeah, I was just looking. They had a domestic fight between two Londoners from different parts, Hackney versus Brixton. Domestic beef at the cruiserweight. I can't even remember. Is it light heavy or cruiserweight? I can't even remember what weight division. Okay. Isaac Chamberlain against Laurent Sokoli. Joshua's promoting one of the fighters. They sold out 8,000 at the O2 Arena.
Whoa! And they're local fighters.
Yeah, for a sort of a low-level domestic showdown. Yeah,
that's pretty good, man. Or am I wrong?
Fantastic. Yeah.
I mean, I know the O2 Arena. What's the actual capacity for that one?
They can get 15 plus, so
okay.
Maybe even 20.
Okay, but now can you see Keith Thurman getting 8,000 if he fought, like, I don't know, some low-level guy? Like his next fight, he's fighting somebody, they haven't yet decided who, but like, could you see Keith Thurman making 8,000, getting 8,000 people in the seats?
If the tickets are 10 cents each, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, he did pretty well against Danny Garcia in terms of attendance, and against Sean Porter, it looked pretty good too. But that just goes to show you, man. I mean, these guys need to remember, these promoters need to remember that they have to keep them local too. I mean, I remember when the economy was a little worse off than it is right now in the United States, and they started making more local fights. I mean, they had Shane Mosley against Margarito in Los Angeles. They had Juan Diaz against Juan Manuel Marquez in Houston. So, and those attendances were huge, but if they would have made it in Las Vegas, that would have been ridiculous. For example, Kelly Pavlik against Jermaine Taylor. They did that fight in Atlantic City. So some of the people from Pavlik's hometown, what was it, Arkansas? No, not Arkansas. Anyway, some Midwest state there. They made the trek over to Atlantic City to watch the fight. So that was good business. Then the rematch, all of a sudden they put in Las Vegas. And it was not as well attended, obviously, as the other one. So these guys need to remember that, man. Keep it local. Do some actual promoting. Don't just rely on the license fee and say, okay, my job's done. Let's just get away with the money and all that. I mean, that would be better for boxing overall, because hey, people watching on TV, they see the crowds and they think, wow, this sport is alive and well. But if they see a bunch of drapes all over the place and like 5,000 people in there or less than that, that's not good optics for anybody.
Mr. BDA, I'm gonna have to depart from the hangout. I just want to say, look, pleasure, and to precise, make sure Lowplace gives you a superlative appraisal. Don't take no shit. Make sure it's a glowing tribute to you.
Well, he said that if he wants, right, he's gonna let Lowplace decide. If he's not gonna hold it against him if he doesn't want to do it. So.
No, mate. No. Be adamant.
He wants him to pressure.
Force him into that position. Don't.
Well, you get a bet against Lowplace next time, and you'll be able to do that, man, if you want to, if you win.
I wasn't expecting this part. I just thought I thought the thing was you going in and you just get, hey, I lost the bet. Nobody told me I don't know about that part.
Your
Anyway.
feet, you get on your knees or something.
No, okay, wait
nobody
a
said
minute.
that shit.
Yeah. Where's this?
I
where's
agreed
this?
to lose the bet making a video so he lost the bet.
Don't allow him, BDA. Kick his ass. Do not allow him.
Well, listen, Precise Puncher was very gracious. Lowplace came in here, he took his lumps like a man, and Precise said, listen, if he wants to do it, he wants to do it. I'm not going to hold it against him if he doesn't want to do it. It was just listen, I was hyping this up because I like bets. It reminds me of days long past when I would actually do the same thing against other people on message boards. But at the end of the day, it was just a little silly bet, you know what I mean? There's no animosity here. There's nothing really on the line. And by the way, I expect people out there, whether they're in the panel or in the chat room, I want to see more of this happening. I want people out there making predictions and putting it all on the line. And by the way, Corruption, thank you for joining us, man. I'm going to put your link in the description as well. You have a YouTube channel called Corruption. Well, it's your name, right? Corruption in Boxing?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm going to be putting that in the description along with the information from all of our other panelists. By the way, Lowplace, I wanted to ask you, did you get a new mic? Calling Lowplace.
Yeah.
He's dead.
No, he's
Nah,
not
it ain't new. I just finally started hooking it up to a sound card.
Okay, yeah, it sounds much clearer.
I got a fucking what's the Pro Tools and boxes and all that. I have all that shit. I just
Wait a minute, did you
stopped
get?
being lazy and hooked it up and put a laptop over there by it.
Oh, you had Pro Tools before. You didn't just get it for the.
Yeah. It just been fucking lazy.
You used to make
And
music.
I
or
wanted to
something?
do film studies, so I didn't want to be doing it over just the regular Hangouts. I just set a laptop up by it, and it's all good.
Yeah, that's
If
the
you
thing.
have Pro Tools, could you make a beat for me? But for this beat, I really just want to have Goat scream for it, but just like have it in a harmony. I think it'd be a good idea.
I don't make beats, man. I don't do that. I don't think Pro Tools is fast enough to do that. Like beats is probably like Fruity Loops and it's fast enough. It just I think it's more difficult on Pro Tools, so I don't really fuck with Pro Tools.
Well, I was
I
under
just
the-
do it for like audio purposes and stuff.
I
Could
was
you
under the
download
impression-
Fruity Loops and then do the Goat thing for me?
No, I don't got Fruity Loops. That shit expensive. BDA got some shit. He got to have something. He got all the mixes and all that.
Well, now
BDA,
listen.
do the
Yes?
Goat thing for me.
I don't understand what's the goat thing.
I just want to have goats like screaming in harmony in like a musical format, and I want that to be my anthem.
Wait a minute. Why goats? What's the symbolism right there?
I have my reasons.
Are you a pagan? Do you
No,
worship
Buddhist.
the ancient god known as Moloch? Is that what's going on here? Although no, Moloch
Shit,
wasn't a
you're on
goat.
to me.
Was that?
Baphomet, or whatever the fuck the thing is.
Now, let me ask you this: you've been with in some pretty bizarre circles. Have you ever gone out with a witch?
Oh yeah, actually, there were like this group of people that I hung out with were like occultists and shit like that, and they practiced Wicca and shit. They were cool though. They were actually pretty interesting people. I had an
Sorry,
orgy with them.
sorry. Foul Paul Boxing says, yeah, he fucks goats. I mean, come on, that's not nice. That's not nice. He fucks goats. Okay.
They had the Usyk and Gassiev face off.
Uh-huh.
Saw
Oh,
that
really?
here.
I'm pretty sure they were pretty cordial with each other. I mean, was there any smack talk?
I don't know. I just see the pictures of they got the 4 belts on the line. That's gonna be dope.
Well, speaking of that, about the aftermath of the fight, because I had to log off right away to set up the whole chat here. But Precise, you made a good point about how you shouldn't be talking too much before a fight, because then it comes back to bite you in the ass. Or like Corruption in Boxing said so eloquently, keep your words sweet, for you might eat them later on. Apparently, from what Reverse Lee wrote in the chat and other people as well, Dorticos was crying in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So evidently, I mean, I don't fault him for it, but that just goes to show you how much emotion he invested into. That's the thing, and I think we can all agree here that in life, in our experience, or at least in my experience, the people that bark the most, usually it's because they're very emotional and they're trying to show that they're braver than they are, and I feel that might have been the case with Dorticos here. I mean, Precise, I know you mentioned that before about how he might not be as confident as he seems, but it's interesting to say that about a boxer who steps there in the ring for a living, but I don't think we appreciate how much fear these guys have prior to the fight and still fight that fear and actually get in the ring despite the fear.
Boxing is fucking terrifying. Mike Tyson said he was terrified every time he stepped in the ring.
He cried before fights, he would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
He should cry. He performed like shit. he looked bad. He should cry.
Oh, come
I
on.
don't blame him.
Come
I think
on,
his
man.
trainer should be pissed. Like
No,
he got knocked out for this shit. Like and the irony of this is his trainer got knocked out with the man doing inside work and body work. So you mean tell me I got knocked out to teach you how to fight on the inside and put 2 to the body, come back for you not to ever do the shit? Yeah, you should be fucking crying.
Two things.
And those tears.
That motherfucker was not teaching him to get punched, like that you should punch him in the face like that. That was Dorticos fucked up there. There's no way that either Dorticos.
No, I'm saying that the trainer.
I'm just like clarifying that.
Yeah,
Also,
you trying to fuck with? Yo, he was like body, hook. Man, he giving them all the right instructions. I don't know what he said in the corner, but I understood some of the shit in the video. I don't even know if they ever went to their corner to get instructions, but I just got the feeling that if I could understand more Spanish, they didn't have no kind of encouragement to change or adjust. But man, like you knock your trainer out, learning how to fight on the inside or practicing fighting on the inside, you don't even do it, man. Fuck that shit, man. You deserve it.
I mean, if he knocked him out, he clearly did the shit wrong though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but shit, at least you're there fighting. At least you're there. I mean, at least fucking try this. Man, this dude was ass, man.
Honestly, the trainer probably wanted him to lose after that shit.
I can see that. He fucked them up.
The trainer was a fat welterweight, man. Come on.
What?
And I think that shit was staged anyway.
I was thinking. I hope that it's staged. I really hope that shit was staged, because otherwise, that's a bad look. But also, Lowplace, you should be banned from watching boxing, disrespecting Dorticos like that.
He was horrible. He was horrible. Now I'm gonna tell you, man. I guess I don't like to watch as in. Oh, I want to see. I'm a critic. I've said this before. I'm more of a critic.
Yeah, you're the most contrarian nigga I've ever spoken to.
No,
That's your entire
if
thing.
I'm not seeing just simplicity that I've seen from you before, I'm gonna be pissed. It's like, bro, I invested some time into this somehow, some way. I don't know, man. I'm a critic of the sport. Like I could give if you lose in sequences, a guy say he jabs at you, he changes level, you throw the hook, you miss, he comes with a count. You throw the uppercut, he catches it, he throws a hook, you catch it, you throw something back.
This is a very interesting thing to see.
I'm just saying sequences. If you get the 4 to 5 sequences and you lose on that one, hey man, you entertain me. I saw world, but if you just in there and all you doing is making the guy be who he already was, and you supposed to be world class, especially if you don't get knocked out on the first point, you got to adjust somewhere somehow. I'm gonna be looking critical, like, bro, what the fuck did you even train for? What?
All right. Well, listen, it's some people are saying, and I noticed this too a little bit. Foulpole Boxing said in the chat that when Gassiev started landing those hooks to the body, you could see the expression in Dorticos' face, like saying, "Holy moly, what the hell is this? This guy's a legitimate fucking power puncher, man." And I want to know how Usyk is gonna deal with that. I mean, you guys have seen more Usyk fights than I have. Has he ever fought somebody as strong a puncher as Gassiev?
If only
12 rounds.
If only fucking corruption and boxing stayed on for like 5 minutes longer, I think we would have had a better answer for that.
Glowacki can whack, but I don't know if it's the same level as Gassiev though.
Glowacki wasn't really the same guy at that point, and I don't think he really landed that cleanly on Usyk in the fight. Like, I haven't seen that fight in fucking like years. I think I saw when it first happened, and then like again after that. But did you see that fight that often? Do you remember?
He schooled Glowacki, man. Glowacki was I think he was coming in WBO champ. He had knocked Cunningham down like 3 or 4 times, and he had just stopped Huck. Yeah, so it's like, but Usyk is fighting different now. Everybody, he's not. I won't say bum rushing, but he fighting on the front foot these days, and he's not as good as it was when he's just doing the lateral movement, catching you with the counter, spinning you out. He's not as good on the front foot, so this shit could get fun unless he just, who knows, go back to what he was.
Okay, so my question then is this. Does Usyk, because we saw Dorticos go a little off script and try to back the puncher up to try to get him off his natural state. Do you think Usyk does something similar?
If he
I
does,
think
he
Usyk's gonna back him up. Yeah, I think he's gonna back him up.
Okay, what?
if
Okay.
he does, he better be well versed at just taking that step back when he does it right. Gassiev does it right. At some point, he's gonna step in when he sees you stepping in, and he's in the range he wants to be more than you want to be. So if Usyk takes a step back, step around, that shit could get. Then I'm entertained. Yeah, hell yeah. Let's see what happens from there. That's 2 or 3 sequences, and now I'm getting to see some level of skill, I believe.
So yeah, if he does pivot, because Dorticos didn't try that, but then again, he's never really tried that before, like stepping on the inside against guys. But and Usyk does have a little, he's not exactly Lomachenko, but he has shown in the past that he can show different angles on the inside, and he's definitely gonna need that against Gassiev. And by the way, did any of you see Gassiev sometimes when he overreached a little bit with the right hand at certain points, not often, but and he was like, he crossed his legs. I was thinking, what the hell? What if Usyk decides to go on the back foot and box him?
And one thing that people don't seem to be mentioning is that Usyk's a southpaw, and Gassiev doesn't have a ton of experience.
Right, just
that's gonna be a problem, man.
Yeah, so I keep mentioning the Isaiah Thomas fight and shit. Like, he doesn't really do well against defending against left hand. The straight left hand is going to be a major weapon for Usyk. I mean, it's southpaw versus short that matchup, so that's expected. But it's going to be like even more effective against Gassiev because he doesn't seem to defend against that shit well at all.
Well, you got to give Isaiah Thomas credit because that's one of the best left hands I've ever seen. And I'm not talking about the power, but just the way he whips that punch without any telegraphing and how fast it is. That's one hell of a punch he has, and maybe that's the only punch he has. But yeah, there was definitely. He did give him some trouble, no doubt about it, and part of that was him being a southpaw, But yeah, it's a different level, man. I'm telling you guys, the way Usyk fences with his lead hand, that's gonna give Gassiev fits. It's gonna give him fits.
Okay, so we got your prediction right now, which is that you said Usyk is gonna put a beating on Gassiev.
He's gonna school him. I don't know about a beating, but
okay.
He will. I mean, look. For now, I reserve the right to change my mind. I'm gonna go back. I want to watch this fight from tonight, like as soon as possible again. So for now, this is how I feel. Yeah. Okay. He's gonna outclass him.
Okay, not necessarily beat.
I ain't comfortable from like Usyk's last performance. Like, I thought the tournament was basically a victory that could be easily handed to him in a way, based on what I seen with Glowacki, the ability to box. Like, none of them had really showed, and just the fight wasn't as fun with Glowacki, but it was, I can clip you, you can't hit me kind of a style, and I have quicker feet. He was better that way. The last few performances, not even the last few, this one, I don't know, man. This shit just got tougher. And
So
he won just about every round against Briedis, so I reject that hypothesis.
No, that just because he won the round, I personally, like I said, I don't see no difference. Briedis and Bradis or whatever it is, Jeff Horn, like I don't see the huge difference. I personally do not, and I think he should have beat him like much cleaner than that. And he's facing a better fighter this time. I think Gassiev will knock Bradis out.
So let me ask you then, Lowplace, are you ready to make a pick now, or do you want to take a little time and see what happens?
They befuddling me, man. This tournament is befuddling me. It is. They 2 guys in a row, and I mentioned this going into this. I said, man, if after the last fight, I said, man, shit, I'm scared about my pick now because I see guys doing things that really ain't what they are, and I've kind of felt that tonight again. And look at my pick.
Well, we told you before. I don't
know about these guys. I don't know about the cruiserweights right now, man.
No, well, we told you before. You're not perfect, man. Nobody is.
Yeah, I know.
You had said
no. I am, but
I'm perfect. I make mistakes. I'm perfect, but I fuck up a lot.
Yeah. Hell yeah, that's the motto. That's the motto. Perfect no matter what, man.
Yeah, that's the motto of the SJWs too, man. Like, hey, I
don't know what the fuck a SJW is. I'm just telling you, perfect no matter what, man. Nobody can tell you different.
I thought we talked about SJWs, hadn't we? In another podcast.
Probably did, but I don't.
cars. I thought that was like not them, but the motto of the
social justice warriors that want to get the ring card girls kicked out the ring and don't want them to have jobs and shit.
And apparently they got them kicked off of darts too. Somebody said in the chat. You know, in England that's
wait,
disgusting.
they what? What about darts?
You know, in England, darts is a big thing. It's televised and everything, and they have like ring walks. I mean, I guess it's not a ring walk because they're not walking to a ring, but they have those walks. You know, like they're stepping to the plate, and they have ring card girls and everything. And they took him off darts. And by the way, darts. I don't know if you've ever seen the crowd. I think they give him free beer, just to rile him up.
Huh.
So they give him beer so they can get into fights in the parking lot later. A bunch of out of shape drunks. But they don't want ring card girls in. How shameful is that, and how idiotic? If you're gonna be handing free beer around, get some pussy in there too, man. Why not? Make it fun for everybody. And you know, and people say, yeah, but there's kids around. First of all, your kids are gonna see pussy eventually. You know, it's not like they're naked or anything, the women. So let them see a little ass. You know what I mean? I mean, they let kids go to that gay pride parade. They see a bunch of hairy male ass chicks there. Nobody seems to complain about that. But all of a sudden, a few ring card girls. Ooh, that's.
Did you say you let your kid go to the gay club? Did you say that?
No,
Yes, he
Lowplace.
did.
No, I did not say that.
No. The kids gonna see some pussy anyway.
Man, I saw the worst video. I saw the worst video I ever saw. Now, I don't know if it's the worst I ever saw, but man, I was eating tacos today, and my girl come up to me with her phone and says, "Look at this," and then she says, "Nah, cause you gonna be pissed off. You gonna get mad, and you eating." I said, "Is it fucking sick?" She's like, she just turns the phone around. 4-year-old girl topping up a grown ass man.
Nigga, what the fuck?
Yeah, like said the dude. The video went viral. And killed himself.
I'm glad that nigga killed himself. Holy shit, what the fuck?
But wait.
Sick shit.
When you say
BDA topping means oral sex. It's like she sucked at his dick.
And my girlfriend was like, cause like I said before, I don't think girls understand, but they almost, not all, but like they toe the line of pedophilia so much harder than men do, and they don't realize it sometimes. I think.
What the fuck you mean they toe the line of pedophilia?
Yeah, I get to it. Like they just do. Like they're not aware. I don't think. I don't know. Maybe I'm just super cautious of that shit. But once again, that'll be a man saying I refuse to even get close to that line. I'll get to it. But she's saying like I turned my head as soon as I saw what was going on. I see a baby's face and a penis, and I see the sucking motor, and it's split second turn away. My girl was able to tell me like shit on the video, like, and she looked like she knew what she was doing and shit. And then it got to me, like, yeah. Yeah, I'm like, girls, like, she was not happy about it, but I'm just like, girls just don't never understand, like.
Okay, but first of all, let me ask you this. I mean, this woman, she's showing you that on their phone. She's gonna get a call from the FBI soon, man. Because I mean, that's fucking.
Yeah, I think
it's from Facebook, and I'll be honest, like, I've seen if somebody shared. No, Facebook could tell you before you even click it. It say this is graphic image or it will, and you can click it, and it does, you don't even know what you're watching. But I've seen stuff like that before, and nobody's gonna. Whoever put it out there, that's the person. Whoever posted, they may have some issues. But yeah, women, man, they.
At the same time, if like there becomes an instance where someone like searches your phone or something like that, and they find that up there, that is still having child pornography on your device.
Yeah, but she didn't save it. She didn't save it. It's just in her face. Somebody posted it on her Facebook wall. She showed me this from her Facebook wall. If she had it saved in her phone, I think maybe I would have punched her in the liver. I don't know. I ain't gonna lie. Like the shit would have been nuts. But I knew it was Facebook. But like what I mean by women toe that pedophilia type line, and I even told my girl this before. It's like she got a nephew. Hold on. I got somebody trying to get in the ring.
All right, but listen, while he's doing whatever.
Scared.
Yeah, man. I mean, that shit is dark. Like in the chat room, people are saying, who said that foul? Oh shit! Hold on a second. It's moving fast. I gotta track down the comment. Somebody said that's dark, deep. Jesus Christ, where's the comment? Anyway, somebody said that's deep. What do they call it? Dark web shit.
Yeah.
I don't touch that, but I did hear. Speaking of kiddie porn and all that. That Facebook, there were groups on Facebook and on Twitter, grouping up and posting sick pictures, and that sometimes Twitter and Facebook would be way too late on the trigger.
Well, yeah, of course. It's not that uncommon, and if you think about it, it's gonna sound fucked up the way I'm phrasing this, but like it makes sense that would happen. Like it happens for any interest group. Any interest group is gonna find like people that have that same interest, and they come together and they like share shit amongst each other. That can happen for anything. Like we do that with boxing. It's just that's their fucked up interest, so that happens.
Do you think they have heated debates like we do?
And I doubt it.
Like no. I like 6-year-olds. What about you? No. Me, it's 4-year-olds, man. I don't go above 4 years. Like, do you think they get heated like that over there? Or?
Shit, maybe. I imagine they just went around like sharing pictures and shit with each other. But
imagine if they have.
You have to also understand, it's not like it's on the internet. It's hard to oversee all this, so of course they're not getting caught.
Do you think they have a guy like Lowplace who's a contrarian and he goes in there and like, no, I like 18-year-olds, man. Come on, like, what are you doing? Like. But listen,
I mean, in that case, Lowplace would be the normal guy if he's saying that shit.
Well, not amongst them.
People like Lowplace.
Not amongst them. No, but seriously, I mean, that's some sick shit. And let me tell you something else, man. I read an article. I forget where it was from, man, but it was about the YouTube, the people in charge of scanning the videos, or as many videos as they could on YouTube, and they were talking about how apparently the shelf life for those employees, it's about between 6 months and a year, because they see so much sick content that people try to upload on YouTube that at some point they can't. Like, for example, the Mexican cartels, drug cartels, every day they try to flood the gates of YouTube with their execution and torture videos, and people in Malaysia, or I don't know where they outsource that thing, and that job on YouTube to filter it. They have to filter and watch that on the daily, and I mean, and I read some horror stories about the type of videos. I'm not gonna mention them here, but Lowplace, what were you saying then about that?
Man, I aced that fucking job. Just be like, click, nope, yep, go home to my family.
Yeah, but
nothing. They need to grow up. Man.
Okay, but
shit.
Let me ask you this then.
They need to grow up and get more accustomed to watching this child porn stuff videos. What?
Let me ask you.
I'm just like, man, it's out the way. If I see 3 seconds of it, that's not ruining my life. I'm like, okay, I'm not watching no more of that. It's like turning the TV. You see some shit on there you don't want to see. Is fucking RuPaul doing an interview with Oprah or something. Click. I don't give a fuck what's going on there. Same shit, man.
Okay, but now.
But yeah, like women.
Sorry,
what I'm saying is just like, okay, I change a pamper, right? If I had to change a pamper, I'm quickly like put that. First and foremost, I'm not changing little girls. It's just some shit about that. I won't do it. It's weird to me. I don't know how to operate around. I know how to operate around a grown woman's vagina. I don't want no dealings with operate. It's just not right to me. I'm glad I don't have little girls. Something I would have to get over. But if it ain't my little girl, I ain't doing it.
Okay, I don't know where you're going with this, man. Come on.
Okay, all right. But now if it's so, I change a little boy. So I quickly say, take that off, put the new one on. Don't piss on me. Get this shit over with. But a woman has said to me before, look at his little dick. It looks so funny. Look at it. He got some big ass balls. And I'm just like, do you hear what the fuck you said? I'm like, you don't women. And this ain't just one woman. This is several different times. Like, they were like, did you see it? I'm like, no, I didn't fucking see it. I got the fuck in and got the fuck out. Like, I don't think women be understanding that line they be towing, and they just so, I don't know. But then again, you see videos of women twerking on little 10-year-old boys and shit. But
yeah, why is that a thing? I see it on Twitter. I have to block so many goddamn people from Twitter for like shit. It's just
but if you see a 30-year-old man doing it to a 10-year-old girl, somebody heavy, and I agree with it. But on the flip side, if I'm 13-year-old boy, I do want a 30. At 13, I wanted a fat ass on me, but I'm just saying, like, women just don't understand. They really be towing that fucking line. And
so when you were 13 and you wanted a guy's ass in your face, like how?
When I was
wondering who was going to
when I was 13, I was outside of Mardi Gras with girls. Well, I was at Mardi Gras with girls on their fucking knees with a gang of guys with their penises out around them.
Jeez.
That's how I was.
So basically, what you're saying is that when you were 13, you saw a lot of guys' dicks in the Mardi Gras. I'm fucking with you.
I could say that, to be honest, though.
Exactly.
I really did. Yeah, I truly
all right.
did.
So,
but yeah.
So, but piggybacking off of what Lowplace said about women not understanding that, there's also that double standard about, like, for example, we've all heard it before, right? Like if a teacher, a female teacher, has sex with a 13-year-old student, somehow they have more leniency towards that. But if it's a 30-year-old male teacher with a 13-year-old girl, all of a sudden you want to punch that guy in the face more than you want with the girl. But so it's interesting because I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently the statistics say that there's more female teachers sleeping around with their young underage students than it's the male ones. Yeah, that's what I heard. And my question,
that's a good thing.
That's not a good thing.
I have to
hold
say,
on. Did that guy that was trolling Crawford get beat up or something?
The guy-
Benavidez, did he just lose or something?
the guy that was
I
trolling
wasn't
Crawford.
aware that he was trolling Crawford at all.
Because Crawford is posting like, yeah, hold on, knocked out. Hold on.
But
I think he just
before
got knocked
Lopez
out.
goes on, I just want to say that the views expressed by your panelists are not the views of BDA.
Yeah.
We don't condone.
Man, you better express this view. You rather see a 13-year-old boy getting some growing up adult ass instead of a
that's
13-year-old
Lopez talking.
girl getting some growing up dick. Because
That's
I
Lopez
definitely would
talking.
want my son to be waxing something rather than my girl. Nah, fuck that shit. Fuck that. I might have to disown her.
Well, this is coming from the guy who saw a bunch of dicks when he was 13 years old. So you were ahead of the
Yeah.
curve. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was ahead of the curve.
No, but seriously, I mean, this whole thing about. Here's my question to you guys. Psychologically, why are these women, these female teachers, sleeping with 13-year-old boys? I mean, what's the attraction there? It's a 13-year-old boy. I mean, like, women like power as a general rule. So what are they seeing in 13? Is it the same thing as a pedophile? I mean, they're fucked in the head and that's it? I guess that's too deep a question, huh?
You stumped me.
Well,
To be
I
honest
don't
with
have
you.
the answer
I
either.
just look at it like this. Sometimes the husband get big and out of shape and shit, and they see the little young man exuberant, full of energy, I guess, and she wants that. You know, I couldn't answer for the man. It's like, bro,
Mhm.
she's more than likely she don't even look. I don't know,
Well,
man. I don't know if the
Pavel-
kid's more 13. I don't know.
Pavel says
It's
that it's
weird.
because the
women. I'm telling you, but for the most part, man, women toe that line way heavier than like dudes. It's some fucking real pedophiles out there more than likely, and more than likely, there definitely are some. But women feel like no need to hide that shit. They don't feel like tuck that in. Society's watching.
I
I
think
feel
it's
like
because-
I don't even want you to leave a little girl with me because you could lie on me and change my whole fucking image. That's how I feel.
That's what Bill Burr, the comedian, he had that joke about when he walks into a bathroom and he sees a child there all by himself and there's no adult around. He gets out of the bathroom so fast because nowadays you get photographed next to a kid and all of a sudden the kid says, yeah, he touched me. Oof, your life is done, man. You gotta, if you see a kid with no parents around, get the hell out of there. Hey, fend off for yourself, man. You don't have, your parents aren't around? All right, good luck to you. I'm not getting
Yeah,
involved.
that's a hard slide to come back from, man. Because I'm gonna even believe it. I'm gonna believe it. Like somebody just points you out and say, man, did that to a kid. I'm not even questioning you guilty almost, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how about
It's
you,
fucked
Victor?
up, but it's true.
How about you, Victor? Do you have a theory about what attracts these female teachers to 13, 14-year-old boys?
Do I have a theory on, well, 13, 14 is technically not a pedophile. I forgot the actual word for it. Starts with an E, but like, do I have a theory for that?
Mhm.
Not really. I mean, you're fucked up psychologically. Can anyone explain that?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that's it.
Pedophile versus normally that you said starts with an E.
Yeah, it's like, hold on, give me a minute.
Entrepreneur.
Tracks. No, I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I
Maybe that's
always
my
felt.
friend.
I always felt it's hebephilia,
Yeah,
some shit like that.
that shit. I don't know the exact term.
Yeah,
for it,
but
it's like
I
that.
always felt like that too. I thought it was too harsh to call a person who may have hit a 17-year-old, whether it's girl or boy, the same as somebody that hit a damn 2-year-old. Like, nah, that's kind of fucked up. Like, he need to be he need to be on his own list. Like, his sex offender list need to be totally different.
All right, so
like he 24 smashing a 17-year-old, 23 hitting a 17-year-old, and this dude. Nah, bro. Do not deserve the same list. He is not the same term as that.
like, listen, that fucking word, man. You can I mean, I think you're gonna see it more and more nowadays, because the word rape is being thrown around now more, like, oh, a guy touched a girl's ass, rape. So words can be redefined.
Me so much about that shit is that you're actually downplaying what rape actually is when you do that. I think it's disrespectful to the victims of like actual rape. Because
what's rape culture?
Nigga, what?
What's rape culture?
When they're really just talking about how like at frats where it's like okay to get somebody like super fucking drunk and then fuck them or like take advantage of them when they're basically like borderline passed out. That's what they mean. This like rape culture is situations where basically guys or any person really takes advantage of another person. It's like acceptable in that instance. That's what they mean by culture.
So if I grew up grabbing booty, they tell me like I'm 10 or 8 or whatever, what that time where you grab ass and run off and they come behind you laughing and chasing you and shit. That's rape. They trying to tell me that's rape culture.
I don't think they would call it rape culture, but they also might because it is an instance of acceptable sexual harassment, technically. So they may call it that.
That's interesting. That's the law.
Nobody ever asked me to stop.
Yeah, no. In Lowplace's mind, when the girl says no, it just makes him want to go harder. It's like
depending on the situation. Depending on the situation, she could.
I would not like to be your lawyer.
She could be. No, because some girls even tell you that. Some girls even tell you that. Like, no. I can be honest with you. I was taking one girl home one night, and she had
be careful what you say, man.
I was telling her in the car, I was like, I was getting the sense that you mean yes, but I'm not a rapist. So, and she was like, duh, I was meaning yes. I'm like, you dumb motherfucker, didn't just say that instead of trying to nail me up against the wall to make this decision to go to jail for life or to send your ass home. You know, so. It's different, but I mean, I don't know, man. Well, I guess rape culture. Okay, when I was in the 6th grade, I said, "Is this rape culture?" Like, they never told me no, but in 6th grade, I had a boy penis, so I didn't want to show my penis, so I pulled my ball sack out and showed my ball sack in the classroom to a specific girl. That's rape culture.
Well, see, okay, here's the thing.
So because in that instance you are the one being encouraged. It would be something different if you like just did the shit and it was socially acceptable. That's the whole thing they're talking about when they talk about rape culture. They mean like someone taking advantage of someone else and then it being acceptable, so they don't really understand that they're taking advantage of somebody else. That's generally what they mean. It's one of the things where it's not like set in stone anyways, like something that's new that just came up and they're all like not really.
He said, "What the fuck, Lowplace?" Yeah, sure. I showed him my ball sack, man. I didn't want to pull out the meat. The meat. I ain't. All right, listen.
No telling what she saw home. Okay, hold on. But this whole thing started because we started talking about the ring card girls being banned in both F1 racing and in darts. And I will say this:
that's such an interesting transition. Like we go from that to this.
That's what we do over here at BDA Boxing. We transition. But I mean, did these people that were complaining about the ring card girls and everything, have they stopped to consider that they're taking jobs and money away from women that can't do anything other than show their body?
Thing about the shit, they do not consider those things at all, which is weird. It's like when they go out and protest, like someone working at like as a security guard for Trump at like one of Trump's casinos, and they were like upset with them, like, motherfucker, they probably don't even like Trump. This is just a fucking job to them. Do you really want them to stop? Do people harass you at your job? Like, oh no, you shouldn't do this. It's a fucking job, nigga.
It's like a stand-up comic once said, like, there are women out there that all they have is their looks. They're hoes. Why take a hoe's job away if that's all she has? It's like if somebody's a nerd and they can't do anything physical, all they can do is like, I don't know, write about theoretical physics or whatever. And you go, no, theoretical physics, it's against God or whatever, and you take their job away. Is that fair, taking the nerd's only job away, their only ability to earn bread and put the bread on the table for the family? No. And by the way, just, speaking on behalf of everybody here at BDA and in the panel, I just want to say that...
Oh, I love women. I love big booties, big bounce that ass, you know what I'm saying?
That's right, we're not a bunch of weirdos here.
I thought that was Lowplace.
No, that was that's a secret recording I have of Lowplace. But I mean, listen, people are saying move on to boxing. I like this type of conversations. We talked about boxing for about what's it been now, 2 hours? Let me check.
Shit, maybe.
2 hours and 46 minutes. And you want to hear more boxing? What, you want to hear about Gilberto Ramirez taking on some guy that there's no... By the way, did you guys hear this? The guy that Ramirez is taking on ESPN tonight, there's no footage of him out there.
Are you serious?
That's what I heard. I didn't look for the footage. I should have, but since it's not that big a fight, I didn't bother to. But the guy's from Accra. No, he's not from Accra, but he's from Ghana overall, the country. And we know Ghanaians are usually sturdy fighters. But I mean, am I wrong in saying that Gilberto Ramirez has yet to impress me? I mean, has he impressed you guys? Do you have a high regard for him?
Nah, man, it's actually something I was thinking about talking about, but I kind of got distracted. Zordo hasn't really done shit for me lately. I mean, I did kind of enjoy his match against God, who was it? Yeah, Jesse Hart. But it's not like that match showed me that Zordo was like this great fighter. It's just like, okay, that was fun, but I don't consider you elite.
Yeah, he's talking about wanting to fight Golovkin, and I'm like, I don't know, man.
Kicked out of him. Even at this stage of Golovkin, he gets the shit kicked out of him.
What, Golovkin gets the shit kicked out of him?
No. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Zordo gets the shit kicked out of him, even
with
against Golovkin at this stage.
Yeah, and Ramirez, I mean, I know it was a long time ago, but there's a video of him against Canelo Alvarez sparring. I think it's from 2011 or so. Obviously, both guys aren't the same, but man, Canelo was taking it easy on the guy, and even then, he was schooling him. So I think Ramirez, Bob Arum is trying to do his best to pump him up and hype him up, but I think it's only a matter of time before he earns a loss because he's not the most active puncher. He's not the biggest puncher. He's slow. He's not all that good defensively. Don't get me wrong, he has improved.
The thing about him is his height and reach, which he isn't really great at using. I mean, he's not terrible at using, but he's not great at it either. There's nothing there. And the fact he's a southpaw kind of helps him, but there's nothing there.
Exactly, man. That there's like there's something missing. That overall package, star quality to him. I will say he has a great right hook to the body, though. I like that right hook to the body. But his left hand is, I mean, it's nothing to sneeze at, but I don't know, man. Listen, people in the chat room are saying Victor sounds like the whitest black. What? Okay. I thought he was talking about Zulu Ramirez.
Nah, me. That's highly offensive. Basically, what you're saying is that black people aren't supposed to speak English correctly. Fuck you.
Oh, B-Prob, he just told you to go fuck yourself. I am expecting a retort as soon as he's able to get his fingers into the keyboard, on the keyboard. Fam Oli says, when is Surdo fighting? From what I've gathered, he's fighting tonight at maybe 11 or something like that. Depends on the what time the undercard gets done. B-Prob says, Surdo sucks. He always talks about fighting someone good, and he never does. Well, listen. Bob Arum knows how to move his fighters along, and he knows when he has a guy that's not all that great. He did it with John Duddy 10 years ago. He did it for a long time with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., and he's doing it right now with Ramirez. Although I will say, maybe I'm wrong here, but I mean, I think Ramirez is a notch above Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., right? A little bit? Come on.
I couldn't hear you all the way for that. You don't think Ramirez is what?
Do you think Ramirez is a little bit better right now than Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. ever was?
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I mean, well, I don't know. Chavez Jr. did have like some decent-ish wins in there. He at times seemed to have like a good account of himself, but that's really because of the size. It's basically just a fucking huge weight bully. But that's, in a sense, that's also kind of a skill to even use that size correctly, because Ramirez isn't really using his size correctly. So I don't know. They're about equal, I guess. It's hard to say.
It's hard to say, but let's remember, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was really the definition of a weight bully at that point. I mean, I don't know how he was making 160, man. Can't believe he was fighting at 160. Now that I think about it, this guy was boiling himself. He must have been close to cutting off something, man, just to make that weight. And, I mean, yeah, look, he did have some good wins over John Duddy. I mean, not John Duddy.
Andy Lee.
Andy Lee, exactly. Another Irishman. Decent win. And who else? Marco Antonio Rubio.
12th round of Martinez.
Yeah, the 12th.
Like
yeah,
that's
his
round.
That's his biggest accomplishment, that he almost knocked out Sergio Martinez. But other than that, I mean, I don't want to talk bad about Chavez Jr. I've done it before. But I think Sergio Ramirez, again, he's not that great. He struggled against the guy who just beat Durudola tonight. I forget his name, some Eastern European guy. And even in that one, he struggled too. He just didn't look good. But you never know. He might improve. I think he's in his early 20s. No, he's 23 or 24 or something like that, right?
Ramirez, no, he's 26.
Okay, so
right now.
Yeah, he's not that young then. He's got to keep
Prime of
improving.
his life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man. And like I said, the guy he's fighting, he's from Ghana. They asked Gilberto Ramirez, "Have you ever seen his fights or seen him fight?" And he goes, "No, I haven't seen him, but I'll figure him out once I'm in there in the ring." And it's like, his ability to figure guys out isn't all that high. But then again, maybe this guy from Ghana isn't all that good either. So,
I mean, I'm pretty sure Jesse Hart's better than this guy. So
yeah, must be. Then again, styles make fights, so maybe he's stronger than Ramirez. I don't know. Yeah, Mark Funk says, put some respect on Vlasov's name. That was the guy that gave Ramirez problems. Vlasov. That's his last name, at least. I hope he has a first name. I hope he's not like Prince, that he just has one name. All right, listen, guys. This was a good one, man. But it was a very good one, as always. Almost 3 hours. It's kind of late over here on the East Coast, so I'm gonna go get something to eat. I mean, any last things you guys want to say before we go?
Can't think of anything, man.
Okay, so then before we do go, you said you want a beat with goats singing. Are you being facetious or are you serious about that?
I mean, if you can do it, that'd be hilarious. Just, I'll show you the supercut of it later, man. I'll just PM you on the Hangout shit.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, I don't know how to... Because I think you need auto-tune for that. I'm pretty sure I could figure it out, but I'd have to try it first. Let me get back to you on that one. I'll try it because I do want to learn how to do new things, so I'll work on that. Yeah, I'll definitely be working on seeing how to do it then. But listen, I can guarantee you a masterpiece, man, because I've never done it before, so I don't know how it's going to come out. Just as long as you don't put that behind footage of a 4-year-old girl, getting abused by an adult or something, all right?
I would never be involved in anything like that. That's not even joking.
Well, that's what you say, but...
Make a joke about that.
Okay, so what is this that you just sent me?
That's what the goat thing is.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so you want me to... Okay, you want me to put it on... Is this copyright or...
I don't think so. I don't see why it would be.
Okay, well, it's... Jesus, 36 million views. Oh yeah, I've seen this video of goats screaming like people. Jesus Christ, that's creepy as hell, man, yeah. Now... Okay, so you want some sort of like a remix done on that? Or you actually want...
I want it to be harmonized. That will be my anthem from now on. Every time I show up, I want you to play that.
Again, I'm going to work on it. What type of style of music do you want it to be?
Your choice.
Well, it depends. I mean, my choice, I would go for some sort of like a... postmodernist piano piece. But I mean, I'm asking you, man. You tell me.
Hey, man. As long as it has the goats, I'm happy.
As long as it has the goats, and it's all cool. All right, I get it. I'll be working on that one, man. I'll try to get you a demo of something like that. But harmonized, you mean? Because I gotta get this right. You want them screaming at the same time, or just one at a time, or like solos?
One at a time, but like in melody. Like each clip has like some certain melody to it. Like
okay.
I don't know, some shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
reggaeton.
Reggaeton.
The reggaeton goats.
Yeah, that's gonna be a hard one, man. But I'll give it a try, man. I'll give it a try. I can make maybe a techno version. How long do you want it to be, by the way? How long?
That's a good question.
And by the way, intro for what? Like you're gonna be walking out to that every time you go out on the street, or what?
That's a great idea.
When you step into a bar, when you walk into a bar, like you just play that shit. And you time how long it takes before they kick you out of the bar, or before somebody calls the cops. All right, so listen.
It just gets better and better.
Yeah, it does keep getting. All right, Victor, I want to thank you for being on here. Same thing to Lowplace, same thing to Precise Puncher, and to Corruption in Boxing. You guys are always welcome here. You guys make this show what it is. By the way, did I forget somebody? Lowplace, Precise, Victor. Corruption in Boxing. Butch was the co-host, so he doesn't have to be thanked. He's supposed to be here, and even then, he left midway through the
yeah,
footage.
I noticed that.
No, he said he was having.
Funny.
He said he was having connection issues, and he did. I mean, he was sounding very bad, or maybe he was. Maybe he was hitting the phone because he just wanted to go. And he goes, "Oh, look, you see, there's some. My phone is broken. I gotta go."
I've done that before.
You've done that before. I've done that to people before. Like I hit them and I go, "Oh, there's something wrong with you," while they're unconscious. I talk to them, "Oh, you're something wrong with you. You're not talking. I gotta go," and that just works out for the best, man. Then the lawsuits come in and the jail time. Anyway, I want to thank you guys again. Don't forget to subscribe to the new channel for the live streams. We're trying to expand our operation here, trying to get new channels just in case. Just in case, because you never know. Fam Ollie asks, what DAW do you use? Well, it depends on what's available, man. Let's just say that I have a version of something that somebody gave to me, and I'm not supposed to be using it. Let's just keep it that way. No, actually, no, there's nothing wrong with... Anyway, I'm paranoid right now. I don't know what to say, so let's suffice to say I use one of the big ones. But then again, people say, oh, what do you use? Do you use Cubase? Do you use... what's the other one that people use on the... there's FL Studio, and then there's... Reason. I think it's Reason. And listen, it all depends on how you use it. You could have the most plugins you want. You could have the best software out there, the best equipment, the best hardware. If you don't know what you're doing, it's not about that. Hey, how many times have you seen a young guy with rich parents and he wants to start a band and they finance the whole thing for them? They get they get him some studio time, blah blah blah, and the music sucks. You gotta have...
Iron Solomon.
Was that?
Oh, there's this battle rapper named Iron Solomon who basically is that, which you just described.
Now, is his music as cool as his name, or?
No, apparently his music is bad. I've never actually heard it myself.
Boy.
His music is bad, but he's a good battle rapper.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Battle rappers. Listen, whatever you do in life, do it as best as you can and have fun with it. Don't overthink it. That's my problem too. Sometimes I overthink everything I do, and then you end up doing nothing at all. So just go for it. That's BDA's advice of the day. Just go for it. You got nothing to lose anyway. If people don't like it, so what? Most people don't know what they're talking about. All right. So listen, on behalf of everybody here at the BDA family, thank you for joining us. I want to thank everybody in the chat. Fam Oli, Chris Gonzalez, Rod T. Davis, thank you for joining us, man. Mark Funk, Pavel, Brandon White, Koran Bread. I thought I saw Kuma's Deception there. Mateus Lees, Ahmed was in there for a while as well. Faded, Foulpole Boxing. Who else was in here? Come on, I gotta get through this. Foulpole Boxing, Boxing Fairy Tale. By the way, Boxing Fairy Tale, like I told you yesterday, you have to change your name, man. I know you don't care what people think, but come on, it's Boxing Fairy. It's too close to people calling you a fairy, and you don't want that. Then again, that goes against everything I just said earlier about not paying attention to what people say. So that's the second bit of advice. Don't listen to what BDA says. I want to thank Reverse Lee, Tubes, The Shepherd of Sons. The Shepherd of Sons, by the way, sounds like the name of a band, a prog rock band from the 1960s. That's a cool name, man. I think I might steal that one. Kelly Goose Cook. So again, thanks everybody. We're going to see you in the midweek podcast. Take care and enjoy the fight tonight. Take it easy, guys.